It's time for an inside look at the most powerful motorsport on the planet. WFO Radio, NHRA Nitro.
It's the most exciting sport on earth as far as I'm concerned.
Take a walk through the Nitro pits as we go one-on-one with the stars of drag racing.
Hi, I'm Courtney Forrest.
I'm Tony Schumacher.
Hey, you're with Matt Hagan.
This is Ron Capps, Matt Hagan's personal friend. You're on WFO.
Featuring the NHRA's Alan Reinhart.
Our events are truly an experience. They're not just a spectator event. They are an experience.
So get in, sit down, and hold on with host Joe Castello as he goes WFO.
Thanks, brother. Always love being on WFO, baby. Nobody brings it to you better than you, brother.
Now crank it up. It's time to go WFO. Here's your host, Joe Castello.
What's up, NHRA fans? Welcome back to WFO Radio, NHRA Nitro, following up the Denso Sparkplugs 4-Wide Nationals out there in Vegas, baby. Vegas. Oh, I had a great time out in Vegas. Hopefully, you WFO Radio listeners that were out there did as well. It was just awesome, top to bottom. Great stuff, great stuff. But on this show, we've got the winners. We have got J.R. Todd going to be on the show, talk about his streak, going on a streak in Vegas. 3 wins in a row at the Strip at LVMS. Won the 4-Wide last year, won the championship for the most part, locked it down, or got a real leg up on it in the fall race, and then wins again here. What's the secret? What's the story? J.R. Todd ties Scott Coletta in wins. That's kind of a major milestone for Coletta Motorsports. You'll hear J.R. Todd on this show. Also on the show, first-time winner Mike Salinas. Salinas going to be on the show for the very first time. So we're going to ask him some questions about, like, how did he get into this and what's the story? And I love the guy, honestly. He is such a cool personality. He's a go-getter. And he went and got. And it's going to be the first of many. I have no doubts. And so we're going to get to know Mike Salinas on this show not long from now. Also, Bo Butner, 3 out of 4. Bo Butner, 3 out of 4. The guy is, the best thing he ever did was retire, right? Just get out of here, Bo, and then come back. We can't miss you if you don't leave. And sure enough, he is back, wins 3 out of 4 races, and this one in very strong fashion with that triple hole shot in the final round. Slowest car, quickest reaction time, triple hole shot. But Bo Butner going to tell us all about it, and the insight behind that moment will come from Bo. Also trying to connect with Hector Arana Jr. for this show, winning the first ever 4-Wide bike race out there at Vegas. So it's going to be a great show. Hopefully you stick around. Plus my time at the tail end, I'll give you some insight into the fun things that happen in Vegas. And if you've listened to WFO shows for a long time, back to the regular radio days in Miami or the satellite radio days at XM, you know that one of my favorite cities in the world is Las Vegas. And I had a whole bunch happen this past time that reaffirmed my love for Sin City. Just a great, great experience. Great time. Whole lot of fun was had. And if you didn't go, don't worry. We'll be back there in the fall. NHRA will be back there in the fall. That is for certain. Before we get into it, I got to tell you about our great sponsors. I'll be telling you about them throughout the show. We've been doing this for 10 years on WFO Radio, and these are the great companies that support the show, that advertise on the show, that want you to know about them so badly that they would be on WFO Radio. Motorsportsguys.com, formerly AmeliStore.com. If you need Amely Motor Oil, go to motorsportsguys.com, but not just oil, filters, parts, pieces, they've got it all. Motorsportsguys.com. Also, Hangstafers, metalworking lubricants, products engineered to increase productivity. Hangstafers. Go to hangstafers.com. And how about Matt Sackman getting his Top Fuel license out there in Vegas? Matt Sackman is now a licensed Top Fuel racer. Very, very cool. We'll be speaking to Matt in the coming weeks here on WFO Radio. Frank Hawley's Drag Racing School, the Dragster Adventure. Go to frankhawley.com. I always tell everybody about the Dragster Adventure because I think as a racing fan, this is something you have to do. It's mandatory. You want to do this for the life experience so you can understand the launch and the feeling that all these racers around the country are getting as they go down the racetrack. Go to frankhawley.com to find out more. Magic Dry and CatspotLitter.com. magicdryus.com and catspotlitter.com. It's made of the same core base product, but used in different capacities. Catspotlitter.com is obviously for cats and pet owners. MagicDryUS.com is for shop owners and people in industry and can clean up large industrial spills. MagicDryUS.com, the official organic absorbent of NHRA. Also, Rodak's Coffee and Grills.com. Marvin Rodak was on during my time 1 week ago. Told us about his Funny Car Chaos experience, which was very, very cool. And the fact that Marvin, with the coffee and the hot sauce and the spice rub and the grills and the tools down there in Fort Worth, Texas, becoming a fan favorite in drag racing, just very, very cool. I got a lot of positive feedback about Marvin being on the show. Check out the site, rodaxcoffeeandgrills.com, and pick up some coffee. Very, very cool. Also, samtech.edu. Start your education with full speed. Blockhead CNC programs. If you want to go to school to learn how to become an engine builder and then have the fantastic benefit of their network of placement, go to samtech.edu. They can get you started in motorsports and drag racing. Maybe you don't even want to be in drag racing. Maybe you want to be in aerospace. They have got connections everywhere. Samtech, we're heading that way, by the way, down to Houston, where Samtech is based, samtech.edu, and audible.com/WFO Nitro, audible.com/WFO Nitro. Start your 30-day free trial on audible.com/WFO Nitro. All kinds of great entertainment for those of you who like to listen. Maybe you have got a job, you like to listen. I was having a great conversation with some folks out there in Vegas about people who they listen to as many podcasts as they can for as long as they can. Audible.com is a great place to get audiobooks and new content for those that listen. Audible.com/WFO Nitro. All right, let's get into it. Joining us now, he is the voice of the NHRA and called the action for the Denso Sparkplugs NHRA Ford Wide Nationals. Alan Reinhart joins us now. Alan, welcome back.
Hey, Joe, great to be back. Boy, there was plenty of action to call out there, wasn't there?
Yes, there was, and back-to-back for the first time here in 2019 as we are headed to Houston, which is going to be very, very cool. But yes, Vegas. You know what? We didn't have quite the blockbuster, sold-out, first-time-ever crowd, but we still had a very strong crowd, especially when compared to the spring race and maybe even Bristol.
Well, and that's the comparison you have to make is to 2 years ago when it was too wide. Inaugurals are never really part of the equation because the inaugurals are always big. Everybody wants to see it for the first time. Everybody wants to be there for the first time. And that's a difficult yardstick to use to judge because, coming into the first time four wide out west, I think everybody knew that was going to be as big as the first time four wide was in Charlotte. But now that everybody's had a chance to see it, we still had a tremendous crowd out there. As you mentioned, fell a little bit short of the sold-out numbers, but my understanding was that the crowd that we had this past weekend was up 60% from the last two wide spring race, and I'd call that a home run, if not a grand slam.
Absolutely, victory right there. And then down to quantify it with a number like 60%. That makes perfect sense. And yes, great job by everybody at LVMS. Racing-wise, really exciting, good stuff. Mike Salinas, first-time Top Fuel winner. A little debate we had at the start of the season. Mike Salinas or Sean Langdon, who would break through and get their first victory. And that has been settled. Mike Salinas. By the way, first victory ever for Mike. Sean is a multi-time winner, looking for his first funny car win. So a little bit different. But Mike getting the job done. How cool is that?
It was very cool, and certainly not a surprise. I think Alan Johnson's average is 5 point something when he gets together with a new driver. Whether it's a new driver to him or a new driver period, his average to get him into the winner's circle is 5 point something races, and he got Mike there in 4. So that's kind of right on track for him. But it was very interesting to me listening to Mike talk about, he's raced for 30 years in various different things and told me that was the first time he had ever actually won a race at any level. So he's pretty excited about it. He obviously has made a big investment in it. And he wants to lead the way for his daughters and show them that, hey, this is how you get it done. Hard work and effort and hiring the right people and putting everybody in the right places. And he's certainly off to a nice start.
Yes, that is a fact. And we're going to have Mike Salinas on the show to talk about the win and give us a little background, like, who he is. And I keep saying on my walking tour and on, the guy kind of came out of nowhere. And that's not exactly the case. He's a lifelong drag racing fan, just did that, the reverse model, I guess. We see so many do it. Instead of racing his whole life, he went off and worked. And he went to work and was successful, and now is pursuing his racing career, which is a model we have seen, and it's clearly working for Mike and Mike's family, who great success there too. Jasmine going to the semifinals in Top Alcohol Dragster.
Yeah, you're gonna hear the name Salinas a lot over a lot of different categories throughout the course of NHRA in the next few years. He's got another daughter that's going to be in a pro mod car at some point. They're coming in force, and they've got a strong budget. They've got a good workable plan to get them where they want to be, which is into the winner's circle and into championship contention. So, welcome aboard, one and all.
Absolutely. I think the final round was super cool in that you had the whole off-season crew chief saga depicted right there. You had Brittany, who Alan Johnson left to go to Mike. You had David Grubnick, who left Clay Milliken to go to Brittany. You had Mike Klober, who's back with Clay. And just for a little added benefit, you had Doug Coletta, who had a crew chief change tail end of last year as well. So all the crew chief changes of the last 6 months, all represented in the final round for the most part.
Yeah, and the crew chief that left the Coletta team is working with Doug Stringer and the Straight Line Performance team, so he certainly still had a dog in the fight. He was over there pulling for Clay Milliken on his side.
How fun!
Yeah, and it's fun when it works out like that. Everybody's got maybe a little bit extra on the line that they want to go out and get the thing done. But Mike Salinas had a really good car. He set top speed of the meet in the final round. It was the only 330-mile-an-hour run all weekend. And he did it in the final round, and, that's a nice way to put an exclamation point on your first win.
Great job, Mike Salinas. He'll be on the show, as will J.R. Todd, who is on a run at Vegas, and that's how it's supposed to work, right? You go on a run in Vegas, and J.R. now, I guess, has 3 in a row at the strip at LVMS, a couple of 4-wides, and looked really strong throughout the event, but kind of built to the crescendo, kind of got it down through there, and then second round he told us he rolled it in deep. He wanted to get the win so badly that he rolled it in, something he doesn't normally do, and was able to get through and advance. And then in the final round, 397, that is making some hay, and he got the win.
I think the crazy thing is just the pattern. Look at Coletta Motorsports last year and this year. Coletta Motorsports' first win last year was when Doug Coletta won the Winter Nationals. Did that again this year. Coletta Motorsports' second win last year was when Richie Crampton won Gainesville. He did that again this year. The first funny car win for the Coletta Motorsports team was when JR won the 4-wide, and he did that again. So I can promise you, JR is okay with the pattern. If it continues all year long and he wins the championship again, he'll be fine with that. But I just think it's interesting how some of these things work. That with the level of competition that's out there right now and such drastic changes from year to year and weather from track to track, and that at least for Team Coletta, their first 3 wins of the season are the exact same first 3 wins they had last season.
Well, we're going to test that theory this coming weekend where JR also won out there in Houston a year ago. See if they can keep that little weird streak going.
I think he'd be fine with that. I also think that the one thing that really meant the most to J.R. Todd is that in his career, that's win number 18, and that ties him with the late Scott Coletta, whose car he's driving right now. And I think that that really meant something to him to be tied with Scott for overall career wins, and to do it in his car was a pretty special moment.
Wow. Tremendous. Yeah. Just thinking about it. Tommy Johnson Jr. making the final, Jack Beckman making the final. At different points throughout the weekend, we saw some racers jump up and be strong, but in the end, the champ comes to the top and wins the race. Tim Wilkerson, though, what a weekend. Wilk is really strong right now, and they are showing it with back-to-back finals.
Yeah, and a couple of really good races out there. He certainly looks like he's got a hot rod now that can go out there and really make some noise. Last year, for most of the season, he was kind of a mid-pack car, and I think he'd tell you the same thing. But they've got a combination right now that seems pretty strong, and especially when the tracks are warm. So when we get into the summer months, I expect Tim sooner rather than later to break that long winless drought that he's in the middle of right now.
He is knocking on the door, that is for sure. Bo Butner, the retirement joke is getting old now. We've seen him so many times in the winner's circle, winning 3 out of 4. Bo has been very, very strong. He admitted he kind of faked his way through at the Gator Nationals, and like the cosmic forces were on his side. Not the case here. This was a pretty dominant victory.
And a triple hole shot.
Yeah.
I just think that if ever there was a 4-wide race that you wanted to see, and if that doesn't end up making somebody's top 10 list or something at the end of the year, then I think that they're missing a bet. But when you've got 4 cars out there that are as crazily evenly matched as Pro Stock is right now, the slowest car beats the other 3 all on hole shot, and the quickest car finishes 4th on 3 hole shots. And that's one of those deals. I'm looking at the screen thinking, is that right? And I'm looking at the scoreboards going, yes, no, yeah, what? Is really that just happened? And it's only 4 wide. So good for Bo, but good for Matt Hartford also, who had a great day and came just a couple of feet short of picking up his second win. Greg Anderson, I think, is officially back, and I'm gonna be the first one to go out on a limb and tell you that Greg Anderson has a race car now that'll win races, and he hasn't for a while. 4-wide format obviously is a little bit unique, but it's the first time that Greg has won 2 rounds on Sunday in 10 races, 11 races. I mean, it's been a long time since he's been in the semis in 2-wide configuration, but this weekend it really looked like he had a hot rod again. Like Houston won't tell because we're going to be running the Pro Stocks there. We'll see them again about Richmond, I believe, is the next time they'll be on track. But I think Greg's got something he can build on right now.
Wow. Yeah, that is interesting. The fact that we're not going to have Pro Stock at Houston, I'm already made that mistake once. As we get ready and ramped up for it, it is going to be different. We will have the mountain motor guys there. But
I was going to say, just for the record, for the fans, we're going to have a mountain motor Pro Stock field out there, and I believe there's going to be 12 or 14 of them trying to qualify for an 8-car field. So for those of you that are, door slammer, gasoline powered fans, we are still going to have a Pro Stock category there for you. It's just going to be a little different from what we normally run.
And they got something a little special planned, too, for the whole presentation of the category, so stay tuned for that.
Yeah, I think it should be fun. They're also going to have the Pro Mods down there in Houston, of course, and, that track is known for good performances if we have good weather, so keep your fingers crossed for good weather.
Yes, exactly. And Pro Stock Motorcycle, final round featured Matt Smith, Andrew Hines, Hector Arana Jr., and Eddie Krawick. Andrew kind of didn't get to make the run, had an electrical glitch on his bike. Eddie goes red by 3 thou, so that put it between Hector Jr. and Matt Smith, and Hector Jr. is able to win with an 0:14 reaction time.
Yeah, the Harleys, the final round obviously wasn't their best showing. It was a wire, the power wire for the coils shorted out. It had rubbed a spot against the frame on Andrew's bike, so it just shut off, and he wasn't going to make the run. Eddie missed a tree by a smidge, and good for little Hector. I think, that team, they've had really good performances, especially in qualifying, but just not a lot to show for on Sunday. Matt Smith, after having a mechanical glitch take him out of the show in Gainesville, even with the added weight penalty that the motorcycles had to deal with between Gainesville and here, came back and showed that he's still as strong as ever. I don't know what it's going to take to get the Suzuki's back up there into competitive form. And the thing that really fascinates me is that maybe you could make the case that the V-twins have picked up a little bit of performance, but the Suzuki seemed to have fallen off. It wasn't that long ago that the alligator bikes were running in the 670s when the weather conditions were good, and when the weather conditions would allow for numbers like that to come up on the scoreboard, the Suzukis were capable of doing that. And for whatever reason, they seem to have slowed down a little bit, and I'm not sure what that is. I'm told by Vance and Hines and also by Tim Kalungian and the guys that it's not a horsepower issue. They certainly still have the same power that they used to have, if not more. They're just missing something someplace. So hopefully we can get some of those screaming 4-cylinders back in the mix and liven the category up even more.
Absolutely, and it was the source of a race week dust-up between Matt Smith and Steve Johnson on Facebook Live that kind of got, it wasn't out of control, but it certainly got people talking about it. Steve has made some comments about Matt. Matt made some comments about the rules change, adding the 15 pounds. Just anecdotally, we look at the final round. We had all 4 V twins, and so we'll just have to keep tracking where this goes and how it evolves. But some friction in the pro stock motorcycle pits.
And I'm okay with that. You know what? Everybody doesn't have to love everybody. I don't know about you, but I'm already looking forward to the next time Matt's in one lane and Steve's in the other, because I think that there may be a little gamesmanship afoot on the starting line. And, both of those two feel like, they've kind of got a message to send to the other one right now, and I'm good with that.
I agree. In the top alcohol categories, a couple of great days of racing, but final round, Jackie Frick, whole shot victory, big victory over Joey, and gets the win. She was super happy in the winner's circle.
She beat Sean Cowie in the semis and Joey Severance in the final. If you beat those two, you deserve a trophy.
Yeah.
I don't care what you beat them at. If you beat those two, you deserve a trophy. No, she had a really good race car. And, it was interesting watching the final round when she had a cylinder go out very early in the run, and you could almost feel the tension for her guys on the starting line. She visibly moved first, so they felt like they were at least in good shape there. And when the cylinder went out, you could just see everybody going, come on, finish line, come on, finish line, come on, finish line. And she ends up winning it by just a thou or two, if memory serves. So, good for her. She's, what was that, win number 5 or 6 or something like that for her?
I think
She's
4.
had a good race car. They tow all the way from New York out to Vegas. So, to go out, like I said, on a day when you beat Sean Cowie and Joey Severance, you should get a trophy.
Yeah, fact right there. Fact of life, because that doesn't happen on a regular basis. In top alcohol funny car, the greatest single emotional outburst of the weekend was Brianna Marshall after Chris Marshall finally beat Sean Bellemere in that semifinal matchup. And that was pretty amazing, having followed the story of Chris Marshall. He's got a quick and fast car and just could not get around the champ. Like in many critical, crucial situations, they came up short, and they finally broke through.
Well, not just in critical, crucial situations, but in every situation.
Yeah.
They had never beat Sean Bellemere, not at a points race, not at a national race, not first round, not final round, not ever. And that was certainly a big one for them. They probably had the U.S. Nationals won last year when the throttle cable broke, and Sean Bellemere ended up getting the trophy there. They've had a really good race car, as we've seen. They haven't had the world's most consistent race car, as we've also seen. They haven't just the one win up in Seattle last year, but oh boy, did they have a hot rod here this weekend, and ended up taking down Doug Gordon in the final to seal the deal. But hopefully we're going to see a lot more of that car. I had a chance to speak to Chris and Brianna at the Division 6 banquet. They were the Western Region champions, and he basically said that they were going to curtail their racing a bit this year. Alan Mascord, who has been his partner and big financial backer, has got him up and going for the last couple of years, but, just can't keep continuing to foot the entire bill. And he would love to find somebody that could help him out. And whether it's, for a season or whether for a race here or there. And he told me point blank, he said, if there's somebody that would like to see us in Brainerd for one race, fine, let's see if we can make a deal. And, they're just basically need to pay expenses to make it all happen. He's got a successful business. He's not trying to make a living racing his alcohol funny car. He just doesn't have enough success. His business isn't successful enough to fund the thing completely. So looking for a little bit of help, and I'd love to see him get it, because it's a better show when they're there, simply because his car is so good. And, obviously Brianna being out there and backing him up after the burnouts and showing the enthusiasm that she does on the starting line has certainly made that team a fan favorite.
No, she's obviously a fan favorite for many reasons. Very attractive, backup girl in the situation. But you could tell she's a racer. In addition, she's just not a girl in a costume out there. She, lives every second of it, which that's what you want. We've always said we want to see people, the highs of the high and the lows of the low. This stuff matters what they do, and you can see that after the defeat in Indy, they were down as could be. After this win, they were as up as could be, and I think that's what makes fans. They're people who just saw them for the very first time. They're going to want to follow that team.
And what do you think Doug Gordon's got to do? I mean, a seance or, sacrifice a chicken or something? I mean, 3 national event showings, 3 final round showings, 3 runner-ups. Got a really, really good race car. They just need to kind of break through. And I think, as we've seen in the past, when somebody's running that good and running that consistent, once they win one, they're liable to win a whole lot more. And it's not like he's never won before. He's won. His father's won. The team certainly, knows how to get the deal done. They just right now are in a bit of a runner-up funk, which I guess is better than being in a first-round funk.
They need to park by themselves.
Yes, across the street.
Somewhere alone.
That would certainly be helpful.
That would be helpful. I guess the stat is that whoever they park next to is the one that they're running up to in each of the first three races, which is just crazy and bizarre. But yeah, park alone, man. Go park out there in the with Competition Eliminator or something. Get away from those alcohol guys and break it loose. But yeah, the alcohol rank's just awesome. It is going to be a great year. Comp Eliminator, Doug Lambeck, Anthony Bertazzi in Superstock, Justin Jerome, a first-time winner in Stock Eliminator, Marco Perevalaris picking up, I believe, his fourth in Super Comp, Tanner Hyatt, first-time winner, Doug Crumlich, and Andy Spiegel, like buddies, who tow together, team together, both won in Racing RV's Top Sportsman, Top Dragster this weekend. That's another great story.
Did you lead out Anthony Bertozzi?
No, I mentioned him. I just kind of ran right across, Superstock winner Anthony Bertozzi once again. Not that it's old hat or anything.
Yeah, it was really a good race. It was a really good race top to bottom. It was the first time that we had good weather for 3 consecutive days. Everybody got in all of their time runs and all of their qualifying runs. The weather didn't change drastically from day to day. It did warm up a little bit throughout the course of the weekend, but it wasn't like, you had to throw your whole tune-up out the window and start over again, so everybody looked like they were pretty comfortable. For Ryan Mangus, you got a feel for him. That's like 4 finals now, I believe, or 5 finals, and he hasn't won one yet. And in this particular case, ends up being a heads-up. He certainly got a break earlier in the day when his car broke and his opponent broke out, and allowed them to fix the car and get back in competition, but he gets into the final round with what was, essentially an unwinnable heads up. But just a good day of racing from top to bottom. That's the kind of day that we'd like to have every weekend. When it happens on schedule, things move right along. We get, when we can have all of the competition finished, have the parade of champions, and as soon as you finish talking to the last champion in line, go, okay, guys, fire up the motorcycles, run right through that, and then bring them back for the winner's circle and still be out of there by 4:30 or whatever it was. That's my kind of race day, and that's the kind of race day that we had. Totally
agree. It was very fun, good time. And the Vegas crowd, second to none. Everybody is there for a good time. Many are on vacation, but there's like a party atmosphere that is happening throughout. We had a lot of very enthusiastic people on the Mellow Yellow walking tour and just the pit area, people flagging me down, just saying positive things. They were happy to be there. Not that there's a race where the people that are out there are just not happy to be there and angry about the whole thing. That doesn't happen. But in Vegas, it's amplified, and it was very, very cool. Now, the Houston crowd, that's another great crowd, just different style crowd, hardcore drag racers out there as we move on to Houston for the first time here, or the only time in 2019.
Looking forward to it. The Houston track has got a lot of history. If the weather is right, being on the bay, we've seen some great performances there throughout the years. The Mountain Motor Pro Stock guys coming out to make an appearance with us, I think, is going to be fun. This will be the second appearance for the E3 Sparkplug Pro Modified Series presented by J&A, and I think that's going to be interesting as well. To my eye, the nitrous cars certainly didn't look like they were very off the pace, but they did get a bit of a weight advantage, being able to take a couple of pounds off of those things. So I think they're going to be right back in competitive mode. And, the battle between the blowers and the turbos is going to rage on for years and years and years. This is just going to be the next chapter. But Houston has always been known for a good performance track. Obviously, it's a huge market and a very important one for NHRA. So I hope the fans down in that part of the world will come out and check us out.
Absolutely. Alan, I will see you there. Thank you very much for coming on the show, giving us a debrief of Vegas. And yes, we are going back to back. Then it'll be Easter, and then we're going to ZMAX. The season is now really rolling, and I am looking forward to getting into a groove. Thank you for coming on the show.
Anytime, Joe. Always a pleasure to do it. You travel safe, and I'll see you in a couple of days.
Thanks, Alan. There he goes, the voice of the NHRA. Alan Reinhart joins us each week right here on WFO Radio. We got J.R. Todd, Mike Salinas, Bo Butner, all coming up, still working on Hector Jr. I don't know if it's going to happen or not, but the bottom line is we have got JR, we have got Mike, we have got Bo, and we are going. We are rolling. And then in my time, tail end of the show, I'll tell you a little bit about Vegas, and we're getting ready to Houston and all of that. We're going to Houston. What is this Houston you speak of? But first, I got to tell you about motorsportsguys.com. Terry McMillan, located in Elkhart, Indiana. It's a mail-order shop, and the primary product was originally Amalie Motor Oil. 70 weight, 2050, 1030, 520. Your next oil change should definitely come from these guys. You don't have to go to the brick-and-mortar store anymore. Just order it up, right? Order it up to your door, and you can get the filter for your car. They got Molly filters. They got Wolf's Head oil and lubricants. They've got All-Star Performance and high-performance parts from Motor State Distributing and Lane Automotive. They've got Canon air filters. They've got everything. Go to motorsportsguys.com. Bookmark the site. That's the trick. Bookmark the site. And the next time you need something. Now, the Pro Racing 70 oil with Molly is something that you need to know about there. If you burn nitro at all or you're a professional racer, Pro stands for Professional Racing Oil. Amelie's been making it since the 1960s, but it has evolved rapidly, and there is a larger tuning curve to avoid those drop cylinder moments. It saves bearings and crankshafts, provides more compression with better ring seal, less fuel in your oil. Go to motorsportsguys.com to check it out. Amalie Motor Oil, better than it has to be since 1903. Get it at motorsportsguys.com. When we come back, it's going to be J.R. Todd after this.
This is WFO Radio.
Hangstafers, metalworking lubricants. The folks at Hangstafers on board with big racers like Antron Brown and Lucas Oil Series or Sportsman Racers in the Racing RV's Top Dragster category. And their number one goal at Hangstafers is to increase the productivity in the shop. Metalworking lubricants, coolants, all kinds of stuff. You got to go to the website and check them out. And so go to hangstafers.com to find out more information. Alan Reinhart always says, like, the one thing that DSR and JFR have in common is Hangstafers metalworking lubricants. We're happy to have them on board, happy to have them helping our WFO radio listeners in their shop. Hangstafers metalworking lubricants, trying to make you a little more efficient in the shop.
Get fired up on the WFO line.
WFO, Joe.
954-889-6796.
Just been an absolute joy to be a drag racing fan.
Go wide open, and your call may be used on the show.
Or preface by saying I'm not a Kurt Busch fan or apologist. I don't know where Greg Anderson's ego has gone, but I know one person that's going to be a big-time villain in pro stock.
That's 954-889-6796. That phone line is always WFO.
Hey, this is Joe Castello, and we'll be back to the show in a second. But first, I want to tell you about CompetitionPlus.com. There's a reason CompetitionPlus.com is the leader among drag racing electronic magazines. Their trained staff is always on alert and always asking the tough questions. The end result is hard-hitting drag racing journalism with up-to-the-minute reporting. For over a decade, CompetitionPlus.com has been a pioneer as drag racing's go-to source for the latest in news, race coverage, and high-quality photography. Their trained staff thrives on getting the inside stories, and their columnists study their topics before they hit their first keystroke. When it comes to covering the races, they leave you feeling as if you've actually been to the race. CompetitionPlus.com is an honest-to-goodness, free drag racing magazine, published by the most passionate of drag racing fans, who just happen to be journalists. Don't wonder what's going on in the drag racing world. Be in the know daily. Log on to CompetitionPlus.com.
Subscribe to WFO Radio on iTunes. Never miss a show. And don't forget to write a review. WFO.
Now, back to WFO Radio, NHRA Nitro.
Welcome back to NHRA Nitro Podcast. Hopefully, you have the WFO Radio mobile app. You are a mobile app haver, and you have got the mobile app and enabled push notifications and got the full archive right there on your phone. When you use the Apple Podcast app, that's great too. But you don't have every episode in the palm of your hand at all times. And that is a little bit of a benefit. The WFO app was one of the first apps in all of NHRA drag racing. As you know, we've been doing this for 10 years, and we have had our app for a long, long time. Great stuff. J.R. Todd coming up next, but I want to tell you about Frank Hawley's Drag Racing School. Here's the number. 866-480-7223. Write that down. 866-480-7223. The Dragster Adventure. 0 to 60, 3 seconds. 130, quarter mile. maybe even side-by-side drag racing if you choose. It makes a great gift. They tour around the country. They go to all kinds of different locations. And every week I bring up the schedule, and I see fewer and fewer positions. For instance, all you folks down in Houston, Baytown, June 7th, 7 seats remaining. Auto Club Dragway, Fontana, California, the 19th of April and the 26th of April, 2 seats remaining. You better do this. If nothing else, this bit is a service to the people who want to go on the Dragster adventure to build some urgency. 13 seats available at Woodburn Drag Strip on June 28th. The 29th, only 6 seats remaining. October 18th, Auto Club Dragway, Fontana, 19 seats. You got to do this, folks. You got to do it. Go to frankhawley.com or call 866-480-7223. It is called the Dragster Adventure, and be sure to tell them you heard it on WFO Radio. All right. Joining us now, he was the funny car winner out there at the Denso Sparkplugs NHRA 4-Wide Nationals. Makes 3 in a row for him at the Strip at LVMS. He is the reigning Mellow Yellow Funny Car World Champion. He's also the defending winner at Houston, so perfect guy, perfect time. J.R. Todd joins us now. J.R., welcome back. Congratulations.
Hey, Joe. Thanks again. It's always good when I get called to be on your shows. That means we usually win a race.
That's it. You earned your way on, and I appreciate it. You know, we were talking with Reinhart a little bit earlier, and he kind of brought up this weird, pattern last year and this year, kind of working out very similar for Castello Motorsports with Doug and Richie and now you. We're going to have to see what happens this weekend, because last time we were at Houston, you won the thing.
Yeah, we definitely got to keep up our end now. So far, history's been repeating itself there for Castello Motorsports, like you said, with Dougie winning Pomona and Richie winning Gainesville. And, we got off to a slow start at the beginning of the year there last year in 2018 and really kind of kickstarted our season there by winning the 4-Wide in Vegas. So it was cool to go back there and do that again. And now we got to go try to go back-to-back in Houston.
Let's talk a little bit about the weekend and just the feel of the race. I had a great time. It's Vegas, partying. It feels like the fans are, everyone's on vacation for the most part, or even the locals. They get it. It's a party race. It's a lot of fun. 4-Wide is different, but obviously you've got a flavor for it. You seem to find your way to the final and are able to advance. What is, what do you think the reason is that you've adapted to this 4-Wide racing so well?
I say it's because of the team that I have behind me. I mean, Todd Smith and Jono, they really got a handle on that DHL Toyota there in Vegas for whatever reason. But what works in our favor is a 4-Wide deal. I mean, you can lose and continue on, which we did on a Sunday, the first 2 rounds, and then really got after it, made it work there in the final round. That's the beauty of it. You can go up there and just be second best, but make it count when you need to in the final.
Antithesis to normal drag racing, but you as a quasi sprint car guy, that's exactly how it works. And in fact, this 4-Wide style of racing, I think it kind of resembles transferring from a heat onto the next one. Do you feel that that's true?
That's pretty awesome the way you put that. Yeah, I never thought of it that way, but yeah, for sure. I mean, of course you want to go out there and run low ET and be the first one to the finish line in your quad every time, but it's almost like you get a couple mulligans, like I said, and they keep on giving them to you. You might as well make them pay for it if you can. So we were fortunate enough to pull it off there in the final, and I fully expected Wilkerson to go out there and throw it down, because he'd been running really well all weekend, especially on Sunday, and then for whatever reason I think he smoked the tires there in the final, but just goes to show that's why we don't race it on paper.
Yeah, and how did you handle those first 2 rounds? Let's talk a little bit about that, because, Densham got down there a little quicker, but your reaction time, you guys both ran 4:30s. Hagan was 4:07, got there first. We're talking about the first quad. But Gary Densham and you both went 4:30s. He was 4:33, you're 4:34. You had the better reaction time, 0:70, and that made all the difference in the world. But you couldn't have known any of that. You just had to, hustle that car down there as quick as possible, and it ends up making a big difference.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Sunday, I think we were the last quad there, first round, and there was a couple oil downs and what have you in front of us. So we, sat there and the track got hotter, and it just kind of got away from us. It was trucking along, pretty good down through there, about half track. It spins the tires, and I get off the pedal and, get back on it, and it backfires a supercharger. And at that point, you're a sitting duck. I see Hagen go driving by because he was in the lane next to us, but I can't see what's going on, in 3 and 4, and just hoping that those guys weren't ahead of us. And luckily enough, turned on the wind light to go on with Hagen. And I figured, well, shoot, we're going to have to deal with this guy every round, probably up to the final round as well. But it didn't work that way.
Yeah, and that's another very unique point. We've been doing it 10 years, but now that we do it twice a year, more elements to the 4-wide racing come out. Initially, it was the staging and, it being in the center lanes, you got to look across the tree. That was the thing everybody noticed. And then secondarily, you can never really lift or quit on a run because you just don't know what's going on. And the fact that you run into the same guy, maybe all 3 rounds. So you could have to run against the same guy 3 rounds. The fact that you can lose the first 2 and still be the race winner. So many interesting elements coming out with time. But second round, you mentioned Wilkerson. They were on rails looking really good, 399. You were second, 403. And you made a point to mention in the media center, and I want to focus on it, that on that round you rolled in a little bit, had an 049 reaction time. What inspired that? Was it totally deliberate? Was it a little bit on accident that you were just in a little deep? What made you decide to kind of break your normal routine to try to steal some?
Honestly, I definitely did not try to go up there and roll it in as deep as I did. I change up the way that I stage on Sunday versus, Friday and Saturday when you're trying to stage extremely shallow, try and flicker the bottom light just to, get every bit of ET that you can. And then on Sunday, it's just kind of go up there and, let off the brake and grab it, but I'm not trying to take the big chunk of it lands wherever it does. And usually I'm pretty consistent about, doing that. Well, second round, I go up there and kind of roll it in way too far to the top light, which is generally what I do in qualifying. That way it's easier to just bump it into the second light. You're not taking forever. Well, I didn't realize how far I rolled it into the top light, their second round, and take a chunk there rolling into the second light. I'm like, oh boy, we're in a little too deep now. But it worked out. If you're going to roll it in like that, you better at least leave on time so the numbers stay somewhat low. But yeah, I felt bad after the run that I robbed us out of a couple hundreds. But Todd and Jono, they were all right with it because we figured that we ran 401 or somewhere around that ballpark. But it put us right there with everybody else, I think, except Wilkerson and TJ. They went 99, so we weren't that far off from those guys going into the final.
There's that discussion. I've heard it kicked around a lot. Stealing some on the starting line, the whole staging process, whether it makes a driver look good or look bad, whether it gives an owner ammunition, like that whole gamut of discussion. But I'm looking at this run between you and Hagen, and I've always been on the side of, I like it, I'm for it, I think it's gamesmanship. If it happens, it happens. It is what it is, and that's an interesting part of drag racer savvy, right? Have you been able to calculate if you hadn't gone in, would you have finished second in that quad? That's what I'm trying to figure out, because Hagen's 087, 4017, you're 049, 4030. So it's going to come down to thousandths. Is there a way to know?
Yeah, yes and no. It's something like I would have to sit down and look at the time slip, which I, didn't pay that much attention. You're in the hustle and bustle there on Sunday, but who's to say if, Hagen was a extremely shallow stage as well and what have you. But, yeah, if I didn't chunk it in like that, I'm sure it would have been extremely close. And I hate doing that because I'm always the one, calling out people that race that way. And then sure enough, I go up there and do it. And if I were in Hagen's shoes, I would definitely be mad about me doing that to him.
See, obviously you're a driver and I'm just an observer. But I think that's a cool thing. That something out there in the world tells a driver at some point to do something different. Gut, instinct, whatever, a moment. And you do it and it works. That's how races are won. And I just thought it was pretty cool to hear you describe it. So you're going on to the final round. And, yeah, you got Wilk, who has been having a great day, runner-up in Gainesville. Tommy Johnson, who made the final round last year, went red. And Beckman, who is, it's the two charity cars over there. And Wilk looked like he was going pretty good until he smoked the tires, had a little bit of a flash. You were 052, a really good light. Were you in shallow? Tell me about just getting set for that final round against what was a monster matchup.
Yeah, I mean, I was definitely in way more shallow than I was second round. I mean, I think second round, our 60-foot was 904, which that's dead giveaway that you rolled it in. I think in the final we went 875, which is right around where we were all weekend. So yeah, I mean, I definitely I'd say that's the best that I could do on the tree for how I was staged, and that's kind of the goal every time I go up there. But yeah, like I said, I thought Wilkerson was going to be the guy to beat, and you know that TJ and Beckman are going to go up there and run good and probably smack the tree as well, which Beckman did. He dumped it in and had a 018 light, which is almost a bad red light. But no, I mean, final round, everybody's jacked up and ready to go, and we were fortunate enough to come out there with the win.
You and Tommy got down. You came out with the win, 97-0. You gave a lot of credit to Jono and Todd about that because they really stepped it up, and that seems to be their hallmark, like something that they do and can do when needed, right through the countdown. Like you'd be having a good date going, and then a big run comes up, and they are able to step up, 300s, 400s when they need it, and that seemed to be exactly what they did right there.
Yeah, that's what's awesome about working with those guys and getting the drive that car. Is like, I mean, you always have confidence in yourself as a driver because you don't have to worry about that thing going up there and not being able to perform because, Todd and John, they race really smart. They just race basically what the track will allow them. And, we're not throwing down every time we roll it up there, but, like we said Sunday after the race, if you give us enough chances that we're going to figure it out and eventually make you pay for it.
Very cool. Now, there was a bunch of extra stuff going on at this race. You mentioned in the media center, Sean's dad going through some health issues and coming back home. I had heard an announcement that said that he was like either on his way home or back home. And so I want to know how that was like percolating through the pit area while you guys are racing. That's some great news to find out.
Yeah, going into end of the weekend, just talking to Sean a little bit, and said everything was going well with his recovery, and he's gonna have to spend some time in North Carolina for the next month or two just to make sure it all goes well. But so far everything's gone according to plan. It sounds like, and that he was getting out of the hospital. So I know that was a big relief for Sean, and his sister and his nephew and his mom, they were there at the track this weekend. So it was probably good for him, to have some family there with him. And I know it's been wearing on him for the last 6+ months, with everything that his dad's gone through. So it was a big relief for all of us to hear that good news about Chad, because he's a super good guy and really passionate about racing, and he loves coming out and watching Sean.
Absolutely, 100%. And the fact that was this your 18th career victory, which puts you on the all-time career wins list with Scott Coletta, from what I understand, and that's kind of an interesting tie.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, to me, it doesn't seem that long ago that whatever win it was, put me tied with the old man, and I thought that was the ultimate. And then to find out that we tied Scott there after winning Sunday, that's pretty special, especially doing it in his car. And it's weird how numbers work out. Luke, who is our marketing and social media, somewhat PR type person there at Coletta Motorsports, he's the one that told me about that, tying Scott, and then Scott's number was 319, and in the final round there we went 319 miles an hour. So it was pretty cool how that all worked out. Then of course the stat guy, Lewis Bloom, was texting me a little bit about that yesterday, and also said that it tied Shirley and Daryl Gwynn, which I thought that was extremely awesome.
Yeah. And that is, as someone who loves the sport, to think about that, Shirley, Daryl Gwynn, J.R. Todd, Scott Coletta. You're out there doing it, though, and you still got so many, like, you have to be thinking, and I want your opinion, like, you're still at the start of your career, right? Like, how do you view it? Are you in the middle? Are you in the start? Is this the beginning? What stage of your driving career are you in, JR?
I hope this is the start, but I mean, as long as I've been out here, racing professionally, it seems like it's been a long time. But to me, getting a call from Connie, 5 years ago, last weekend, that to me kind of, I don't know, restarted my career. It's like a fresh start almost. So I'm hoping this is just the beginning of good things to come, but you can't take these wins for granted, and you never know when or if you're going to get, another one. So just trying to, live in the moment and make the best of it and enjoy it while I can.
The story, the picture that you painted of your parents, you're sitting at home, you're like watching TV. I don't know if you're like shoveling ice cream into your face, whatever you were doing, but then the phone rings and it's Connie and you got to go. Like, to think about that, JR, and JR, the world champion, like just the road traveled in 5 years. That's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, looking back, we talked about it quite a bit throughout the weekend and leading up to the weekend. Just how, if that call never came, like, where would I be today? And I mean, I don't know. I don't even know if I would be racing at this point, because at that time just was kicking around racing, part-time. I think we were going to do 4 or 5 races that year, and just really struggled to find sponsorship to be out there racing full time, which I hadn't done since 2008 up to that point. So you kind of think it's, the end is coming, and you don't want to be done when, to me, I thought I was still young in my career. So to get that call from Connie, that was a life-changing and career-changing moment for me, and can't thank him enough. But yeah, I don't like to think about where I would be or what would happen if he didn't call.
Yeah, I don't like to think about it either. You've been a big addition to the sport of drag racing. Great win out there at the Denso 4 wide. Of course, headed to Houston, and we're starting to really roll now, in that this will be the first back-to-back weeks of the year, and getting after it. You ran real well there last year, but let's talk a little Vegas, JR. I was thinking, where are the hot spots? You know what I mean? Like, where's the action? Of course, it's all Vegas. There's action everywhere, but there's always places that are like the hottest places. So if you don't mind revealing, like, where did you guys hit over the course of the week that you had a really good time, you thought was cool and fun and had good positive energy for you, regardless of how you did at the tables?
Well, I kind of had a plan going into the Vegas race that in order to stay out of trouble and worry about racing, that I wasn't going to stay on the strip. So, Richie and I decided we were staying at the Aliante, which is, closer to the track. There's no real other casinos out there by it, but it's a nice place. The majority of the guys from Castello Motorsports stay there, as well as with some other teams. But, I didn't do any gambling until Sunday night after we won, which I'm usually pretty tight because I hate losing, and I hate losing money on top of that. So, but no, we went and had some fun. I went down the strip Sunday night, and I will say what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, but we definitely celebrated.
There you go. That is good. Yeah, so I ultimately ended up back at the strip. I hear that the Aliante is beautiful. Everybody says it's fantastic. Like, it's a nice, oasis in the middle of nowhere.
You're right. It is nice. I mean, they have some really good restaurants in there, and it's not packed full of people, and it's just a nice place to stay, and don't have to deal with traffic to get to the track. But I say that, then going into the fall race, it seems like we always end up staying on the strip and do the opposite. But whatever, we still have a good time no matter where we stay.
Well, whatever you do, keep doing it, because it's working. You've got a streak going in Vegas, which is exactly how it's supposed to work.
Yeah, that's it's pretty crazy to look back and see what we've done. I mean, to go 3 straight races there at the strip and win, that just shows, how good of a team that I have behind me with Todd and Jono and Yellow Fellows. They strive for excellence, and we know that we're not going to win every race. And so far up until Vegas, we kind of had a slow start and up and down season. We didn't run well in Pomona, lost first round. Weather was an issue there. And then go to Phoenix, where I feel like we didn't really run that well either, but we were fortunate enough to get to the final, which I've never really had success at Phoenix in the past, and go to Gainesville and struggle really bad there, and tested on Monday and kind of, just reevaluated what we were doing. We brought out a new car there before the Gainesville race and kind of switched it back to the way the old car was last season and ran it on Monday. And I think that helped us. And then, going into Vegas, we knew that, or I knew anyways, it was going to be hotter, and, told myself, well, this is definitely going to help us because it seems like that we run better on, those hot tracks where the first 3 races, it was pretty cold, as you know, at most of the places that we ran, and that's when Jimmy Prock and those guys can really throw down. But there's only, a couple guys that can run like that, and it doesn't seem to work out when the tracks get hotter, and I think that's the equalizer for the 4 car class, and we tend to try and take advantage of that.
Absolutely. No, you did well. It's going to be interesting, and the season really just starting, 4 races in. Got a whole lot of fun. How's the podcast going? What's up with Nomex Effect?
It's been on a hiatus, man. With everything going on with Sean's dad, he's been spending a lot of time with him down in North Carolina. So I mean, that's understandable. Family first,
yeah,
and then we'll worry about the podcast later. But no, we got some plans for it coming up. Just want to make things better and more mainstream with it. But we definitely get asked a lot. When's the next one? When's the next one? But as you do yours, how tough it can be at times to have topics to talk about every week and what have you. So I think it's good for us that we have it spaced out sometimes. That way we don't burn up everything that we want to talk about, and try and get some guests on there to liven it up a little bit. But no, we'll have a show probably here next week or so, and we'll get back in the swing of things as the season gets going. Absolutely. Well, the mention of Sean, this kind of thing, like, putting yourself out there, it's good to have a clear head. And, he's been going through a lot, so that makes a whole lot of sense. Well, just let us know when the next one's coming out. Of course, we appreciate the fact that you're diving in and making regular drag racing fans podcast listeners. That's what we got to do. I know Brian is doing it as well, Luke Bagacki and many others. So I think it is kind of a cool place for drag racing fans to go to get additional coverage, and you're a big part of it. So good job with that. Whenever the next one comes out, I will see you this weekend. And thank you for coming on the show. Congratulations on this 4-wide win. Thanks again, Joe. Looking forward to this weekend in Houston, and hopefully we can go back-to-back, double up, and talk to you again here soon. There you go. That will be perfect. We would be honored to do that. JR, thank you so much. Congratulations. All right. Thanks, Joe. Thanks, JR. JR Todd with us here on WFO Radio. And I didn't mention it to him, but I want to give JR credit for picking an interesting out-of-the-box song for his Nitro Primetime music thing that we do, which he picked Viva Las Vegas, which was great, but it was the DK edition. And it is definitely the craziest edition of Viva Las Vegas. And I always wonder why, when we go to Vegas with these amazing race cars, why that kind of very up-tempo version of the song is not used more often. And JR busted it out. And good job by him, because it's a cool version of Viva Las Vegas, one of my favorites, in fact. So great job. And let me just say, since I'm on this subject, all you Nitro racers, I know some of you guys listen, some of you don't, right? Switch the music up. Can't be the same everywhere you go just because you picked one song in one place. That's not the only song that's representative to your personality. Switch it up. So if it was something in Vegas, like Viva Las Vegas, that's great. But now we're going to Houston. Maybe it should be a different song that's more reflective of the Houston crowd. That might be a different deal. Let's make that part of what we have to do. Switch the song. Because after you hear the same song for the same driver 3 times, it gets stale. Just like everything gets stale after a while, right? That's why I don't script this show. So hopefully it doesn't ever get stale. You just never know what I'm going to do to you or for you. But I digress. We got Mike Salinas coming up later on. We got Bo Butner coming on later on. But right now I'm going to tell you about Magic Dry. Go to magicdryus.com. magicdryus.com, and also catspotlitter.com. But I want to talk in particular about Magic Dry. Look, it's made of coconut. It works in the oil and gas field. It works in transportation, municipal, heavy construction, manufacturing. You can have a bag for around the house. It is very absorbent, 560% of its own weight, but it's also organic. It is a multi-purpose, reusable absorbent, and it's 100% made out of coconut, so it's safe. It doesn't have that horrible smell. So it does the job. It's organic. It's good for the environment. And it's safe for you.
These are all good things. Go to magicdryus.com. Plus, and this is my best part, my favorite thing, they support Scott Palmer, and they support NHRA drag racing. And this is the ultimate example of how the drag racing fans should rally around a product because, you know, it's better, and it supports drag racing, and it supports WFO radio, which is, of all those things, most important to me. MagicDryUS.com or CatSpotLitter.com. Check them out. Check them out on the side of Scott Palmer's car. We'll be back with Mike Salinas after this.
It ain't just wide open. It's WFO.
Your education. What are you doing? Look, I know you want to become an engine builder. I know you want to work in a machine shop. I know you know that is a very in-demand position, but you think you could probably learn it by hanging around the shop. The way to do it is to go the School of Automotive Machinist and Technology route, samtech.edu, where you can do all of those things except get an accredited education by real racers, where they don't sponsor race cars. Their cars are the curriculum. samtech.edu. Motorsports is exploding around the world. It is a job that cannot be outsourced. In fact, they might ship you in to work on their stuff. That's how in demand the job is. Engine builder, machinist, motorsport EFI, they do it all. Check them out, samtech.edu.
Android and iPhone users, download the WFO Radio app. It's sports radio for racing fans.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
The ultimate racing show, including WFO Radio NHRA Nitro, WFO Radio Ignition, the WFO Radio NASCAR Tailgate Party, news, videos, push notifications, and more.
I just hope I'm part of it.
Go to the App Store or Android Market, search WFO Radio, and download it now.
Drag Racing Edge. That's the magazine. Subscribe online. Get the issues, $24.95. Keep up with your favorite sport, whether it be NHRA Mellow Yellow, Lucas Oil Series action. They cover drag radio. They cover it all. Drag Racing Edge magazine.
WFO Radio is brought to you in part by Extreme Velocity 3 Drag Racing. Download for your mobile device. Win your way on the show. WFO.
Now, back to WFO Radio, NHRA Nitro.
NHRA Nitro, WFO Radio. Have you heard the Factory Stock Podcast? Are you subscribed to Factory Stock Podcast? Hopefully you are. We're going to have a new episode coming at you before Charlotte, which is not that far away. So catch up with the first 4 episodes, Factory Stock Podcast, and follow up. I heard they had a wild NMCA race out there, and Chuck Watson tore up a car, and all kinds of craziness went down. Jeff Turk, who was on episode 2, went in the sand trap, had all kinds of issues. This is a wild class. I don't want to compare them to Fuel Altereds just yet, but it's craziness. And they'll be back in action out there at Charlotte. We got Mike Salinas just minutes away, but right now I want to tell you about Marvin Rodak and Rodak'sCoffeeandGrills.com. Now, you hear me talking about Marvin Rodak. If you want to hear Marvin Rodak, go back to last week's show. It's in the archive. He came on during my time at the very tail end of the show. Yeah, just having trouble speaking, folks. It's no big deal. Just move along, please. Not like I do it for a living. Every now and again, you know, you just get out of the groove, I guess. And I'm sideways, but not so sideways that I can't tell you about Marvin Rodak. New coffee just in, Costa Rica Black Honey, the Brazilian Espirito Santo, and the Guatemala Triple X. The Triple X Guatemala, folks, it's all available on Rodak'sCoffeeandGrills.com. Not to mention the blends, coffee mugs, all kinds of cool stuff. Here's how you got to do it. You got to call them up. That's the way. You can fill out the email form, right? Just saying hello. Fill out the email form. Get on the list. But 817-924-6821. Ring him up. Marvin will answer. 817-924-6821. Ring him up. Marvin will answer. And he's got great recipes and grills, Primo, Fire Magic, all kinds of high-end stuff. If you're down there in Texas, you want to shoot over there and pick up an amazing grill. You want to learn some techniques. You want to get some hot sauces, spice rubs. He's got it all. But the coffee is unbelievable, unparalleled in the known universe. 817-924-6821 if you want to find out why. Listen to last week's show. During my time, Marvin talks a little bit about, how and why great coffee is great coffee. All right, time to move along with our next guest. Joining us now, he was the top fuel winner out there at the Denso Sparkplugs NHRA 4-Wide Nationals, a first-time winner in the Top Fuel Eliminator, his first appearance on WFO Radio Podcast, Mike Salinas. Mike, congratulations. How does this all feel?
Really good, trying to process it all. It was a very amazing experience. I'm in awe because I understand what it takes to win now, and I got to see it firsthand, so it's pretty amazing.
Very amazing. The final round was awesome. The whole race was very cool. But since it is your first experience on WFO Radio Podcast, we have been kind of trying to get you on here, and it works out that you win this race. So if you don't mind, before we talk about you round by round, I'd like to get to know you a little bit better for our audience, and just like your first opportunity to fall in love with drag racing. I know you're kind of coming into the sport a little bit later in life, but what about when you first got interested, first fell in love with the sport of drag racing? Like, how did you come to be the type of person who wanted to even drive one of these cars?
Well, when I was a kid, I would have my parents drop me off at Fremont Drag Strip, and we were the kids that sold magazines and helped the pizza guys sell pizzas in the concessions, and walked around and saw all the stars back then that they didn't even know they were stars. Perdome and Jim Lieberman, Jungle Jim, and it was just amazing just to watch all these guys back then. And the cool part about back then is everybody was all equal. A lot of them didn't have any money. The sport wasn't growing like it grew, and it was just everybody was at the beginning of the sport, and it was really kind of cool. And as a kid, I got to watch it and watch these guys, Perdome and all the guys, and I remember walking. And I'm a pretty short person, so I was walking in front of Perdome's dragster at Fremont, and he used to put these Cobras out in front. And I had my hand on the Cobra, and he walks up and he picks me up and sets me in his race car. Wow. And I never forgot that. And honestly, it was like, man, this guy's the superstar of the sport, and he's setting me in his car. So I got to see and sit in his dragster, and then went on in life. Took off and took care of business and grew up a little bit and everything. And I was putting a shop together, and this one shop that I wanted for dragster on the wall because it stuck in my head. And so I wound up buying a car from a friend of ours. It used to be the Dos Palmas Speed Shop car. And then it was an Enriquez and Adams car. This guy used to build Jungle Jim Lieberman's motor. His name was Arnold Shab. And so I was surrounded by all the race car guys, and I just took care of business instead of, going and racing. And I sat in the car, and it kind of ruined it for me and started a new beginning because I just went there to buy the chassis for the wall. And the car was complete, and I sat in the car, and I asked the guy, what do you want for the whole car? And he goes, I'll take this. I said, okay, can you deliver it because I don't have a trailer for it? And he goes, yes, I'll bring it there. And so we lived out on a ranch, and he delivered the car, and Monica and the girls were real young, and they came out, and they go, what's that? I go, that's our new race car. I go, we're not going to tell anybody, but we're going to be a race car family, and we're going to go have some fun, and we're going to get into the sport. We're going to sneak up on everybody, and we're just going to try to come in and just have some fun as a group and as a family. And if all of you girls want, and they were all little kids. I mean, a couple of them running around in diapers, and Jasmine and Jacqueline, they were really, really young, and they're like, why do you want to do a race car? I said, because it keeps families together, and we can have a great time out there. And that's how it all started for me.
Wow, that is so true. Like, so many things you just said there. And we got a lot to cover here, Mike, with, Jasmine doing so well and just so much going on. But what really stands out in my mind is that, I have said Mike Salinas has kind of come out of nowhere. That is not true at all. You are a lifelong fan of the sport of NHRA drag racing, a California kid. You're out there like walking among the stars, doing whatever you had to do to be there. And you just were able to pursue this now at this point in your life, which I think is great. So I'm going to change my story about Mike Salinas, which is fantastic. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Didn't you buy one of Prudhomme's cars a couple of years ago, like the first amazing orange Scrapper's car that we started to see? Wasn't that one of Snake's old cars?
No, actually what I did was I went, well, let me back up a little bit. How I wanted, we were driving nostalgia cars. I was doing a 7.0 Pro deal, and we just ran one of the races at Bakersfield. And my youngest daughter, Janae, we were sitting on the couch watching the drags at Sonoma, and she asked me, she goes, Pops, how come we don't drive these? How come we don't go drive those cars? And I told her, well, we can go drive those cars. She goes, well, no disrespect, but those are the professionals. I don't think you can do it. So J.R. Todd just ran for Baca, and Hinkleman was running the car, and he qualified number 1. And I don't recall what he did in the race, but I think he did very well. And so I knew a guy that knew Baca, and I heard that Baca was selling the team. So I went over I got a hold of him. We made a meeting, and I went over and looked at Baca's stuff. And I got a good, because he was probably about 2 hours away from where I lived at the time, and got to see what he was doing over there. And I looked at my first Top Fuel stuff that if I wanted it, and I'm looking at it, and I'm like, I'm a pretty particular guy about what I like. And I made him an offer on the stuff. He thought it was worth more. And I said, I'll just build my own team. So on the ride back from, I didn't have a license for Top Fuel. I've never been in a Nitro car or any of that stuff. So I'm driving back, a couple-hour ride back, and I asked my guy, he used to work for John Force. I said, hey, I need to get my license. How do I go about that? And he goes, I'll make a call right now. So he made a call, and because it's done. You got to fly to Texas next week, go get fitted for a car, and there's a guy over there from Europe that will let you use his car. He'll, you have to pay for it, of course, but they'll help you get your license. And that was Urs Urbacher and Wayne Dupree.
Wow.
So what I did was I flew over, knew nothing about this show, how to do it, what to do, any of the stuff. So I went over there, but I'm one of those guys, when I have something in my head, I'm a goal achiever. So this is what I do. So I went and got fitted for the car. And then we waited until the NS race was on there. And then on that following Monday, I went to the race, and it was pretty amazing. I sat in the car, and they asked me if I knew how to drive a car, and I told them, yes, I do. And I had never been in one. And so the other part that I left out is I asked David Baca, how do you drive these cars? And David Baca told me the procedure of how to drive the car. So I asked David Baca, can you shut the lights off in the shop, and I want to sit in the car for about 15 minutes by myself? So in darkness in the shop, I did the procedure like 30, 40 times in 15 minutes. And David came back in, turned the lights on, and he goes, can you drive the car now? I said, yep, I know how to drive a car now.
Wow.
And that's literally, Joe, how I understood how to do the procedure on the car. So in Ennis, Texas, we're getting ready to fire the car up over there, and they asked me, what is your procedure? And exactly what David Baca told me. I told them, and they looked at me like, well, I guess you know how to drive a car. And I said, well, we're going to find out in a minute. And to be totally honest with you, I got strapped in. Monica was there, and we fired the car up. And I asked myself, what are you doing here? What are you doing? Are you crazy? You have young children. You have a lot going on. Do you really want to do this? And the thing is when I start something, I don't quit. I never make a U-turn. You have doubts. You have these, fears inside, but you face your fears and you move forward. And so we fired the car up. When I did my first burnout, And they were nervous because they weren't sure if I knew how to do it. Did the burnout, backed up, did staged real nice. And Ursula Walker walks next to me, gives me the thumbs up, and so that's how we started.
Wow, tremendous, Mike, tremendous. I love the fact, and we'll get into it a little more. Goal achiever. It's like that mindset. I wanna dig into that, but let's talk a little bit about the race weekend and talk about this first win, the 4 wide. And it occurs to me that you had to go through some very tough races. The 4 wide situation is just so crazy and chaotic. It's hard to keep track of when you're on the ground level. But I number 1 qualifier, you uncorked an unbelievable run at qualifying, which earned you a very challenging first quad. There were only 3 of you, but it was Billy Torrance and Antron Brown. And Antron did not advance. You and Billy were able to advance. But tell me about race day. When I spoke with you on the stage, you were confident. And, everybody's confident when they're number 1 qualifier, but you were confident. And it seemed like you felt like today might have been your day. Tell me about that feeling as you're going into first round.
Well, what I did do in preparation for this, okay, I had to learn how to calm down in the car. And so what I did is I brought in Adam Sorokin to help me calm down. Adam Sorokin won the March meet in Bakersfield here, and what he did was his average light is an 025. And so I brought him in to help me learn how to cut good lights and how to calm down in the car. So he gave me a scenario where I need to be if I'm going to do this race, if I'm going to be racing these cars, and I'm going to be serious, and I'm going to be a contender. So he put me in a position, and it took me until Saturday morning to get what he was talking about. And that's how it started for me, because I had to learn how to relax in the car. And Joe, I didn't care who I was running. Don't care who I'm running. I'm racing myself every run. And then my daughter, of all people, my daughter Jasmine, made a comment last race in Gainesville that every run is a qualifying run. It's not a race run. Don't care who you're racing yourself every time, and you go out there and you do the best and you have fun. And that's actually what we did. Is so I don't care who I run. I don't even know who's in the other lane. Don't even want to know. I get myself in this little bubble that I need to be in, and I go and I did this. This was the first week I was able to achieve that, and it was really nice because I could care less who I'm racing at any of them because I know they're all great. And we had a cars out there all weekend with everybody, and you can't take anybody lightly. I don't care who they are. And so what we did is I put myself in a position that I just was really calm, real relaxed, and I was smiling because I'm like, you know what? If my guys do their job, Alan and Brian and Aaron do their job, and I do my job, we're going to win this race. And that's the confidence that my guys, my daughter, Adam Sorokin, gave me.
Wow. No, that's great. And I want to ask you about the whole the family coming into the sport, because there's a lot going on there. But let's keep going with, so you advanced to the second quad along with Billy, the other side of the quad. Terry Totten got through. Clay Milliken got through. So that is your next. There's only 3 rounds of racing out here at the 4-wide Nationals. We had a really good crowd. I felt like it was a really good crowd, especially for a spring race out there in Vegas. And then you advance to the final, you and Clay. And so you and Clay and Doug and Brittany are going to square off for the final round. And as I was looking at you guys on the starting line, I'm thinking to myself, Brittany had Alan, but Alan left Brittany to go to Mike. So Doug left Clay to go to Brittany, which which brings in just a chaotic. Every crew chiefing story of the previous offseason was represented in the final round, is what I'm trying to say.
Oh yeah, no, it's funny you say that because before, when I found out who we were running, everybody that was running there, because they'll show me a list, and I just glanced at it for the reason is I wanted to know what lane I was in, and I don't get intimidated by anybody because you will fail thinking about Sean Langdon cutting a great light, or it happened to me in Sonoma, just things like that. You don't. I put myself in a different world. So this is how I looked at it, and it was kind of funny. I'm going to go race myself. The drama from all the other guys and all the other teams, they all had something to prove. And all I had to do was prove to my daughters that I could win a race. And I don't care about anything else. My 4 daughters and my wife are the main things in my whole world that are watching me. They're my critics. We're very structured. We're very driven family, and we're hard on each other. But my kids, I set the bar for them, and they push me. They push me to be a better person, and to be a win. Yeah, win.
Wow, no, tremendous. So final round, you stepped up and you left first. Like, most importantly, like when we look at it, you got Clay over there, smoked the tires. Doug had some problems. Brittany got down, but she left with an 084, and you were 041 and the lowest ET of the final. You won the race. So take me to that moment where, if I recall correctly, you were in lane 1, and so you got that left side wall to just look at that win light. When did you realize you had won, and what is that moment like, given all that you have told us, the goals and the travels and the miles and the You've tagged the wall. You've had some tough moments in the car. And now you're a winner from 1 second to the next. Take me there.
Yeah, I was in lane 2, Brittany. We had lane choice.
Okay, yeah, you were in lane 2. That's right.
We were going to pick lane 1. Alan got spooked. He saw something he didn't like, so they changed the lanes. And so basically, the way it's set, we're set is nobody talks to me. Nobody says anything to me. They'll tell me what lane they want, and here's what I've learned how to be successful in life. When you're paying a man to do their job, you let them do their job. Don't micromanage. Don't get involved. Just worry about yourself and do your job. And so where we're headed with this stuff, it's pretty amazing. Everything that we're talking about, I let them do their job, and I did my job. So we're staging, did my thing, backed up, and Joe, honest I've ever been in a car, and confident, the most confidence I had. So here's what I did. I staged, said a little prayer, said if it's my day, we're going to take this because my guys did the best they can do to build that car. And we went down, and I could hear Brittany. I heard the other 2 cars having trouble, but I could hear Brittany next to me, and I knew she was really close, so we couldn't make any mistakes, couldn't have a wobble, couldn't do anything. And Brittany's an awesome driver. She's doing really good. She was right there. We went through, and to be honest with you, I did not know I won. The safety crew people are really awesome with me, so I got to the other end, and I had to ask them. I had to ask them who won, and one of the guys came up and he told me he pointed at me, and so I popped out of the car, and the guy that was pushing me, I go, "Are you sure that I won?" So it was kind of funny. They were laughing at me. He goes, "Are you?" I go, "Are you sure that I won?" He goes, "Yes." I go, "Are you sure?" Before I start jumping up and down, I need to know this is real. And it was actually pretty cool because he goes, "Yes, Mike, you won." And I'm like, "Man, finally I can. So this is nice. I can go racing now."
Awesome. That is awesome. Now, you said in the media center that, you mentioned that you're a goal achiever, and I want to talk a little bit about that, but you mentioned that you are, you are such a driven person, and that has factored into all of this. But now that you've achieved this goal, that you feel comfortable doing a lot of things that you weren't comfortable doing before, like pursuing sponsorship or talking to people, because you have now proven to yourself, like, all right, if I'm selling this operation to a sponsor, I'm selling a viable operation. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, because a lot of the sport, people in our sport, they're so interested in taking the people's money without giving them value. And me, I have to look people in the eyes, and I have to live with myself. It isn't about money. It's about relationships. It's about camaraderie. We had some people this weekend with us that I had grown men bawling their eyes out, thanking me for having them be a part of what we did this weekend. And they've been lifelong friends, and they've helped and they've done things, and they're like, this is what it's all about, and they're hooked. So anybody that does come on board with us, we're a different type of, I guess, a race operation because we understand what it took to get here. The value that they're going to get, it means something to us, and it's not just a car and racing and they have a name. We make them a part. Steve Bryson and Samantha Bryson, that's why Global Electronics helped us. And for me, it's important to put those people up front and put them on the stage and where we did pictures, where we did everything. I work for them. So whoever does come on board with us, they're going to get value out of us because it's important to us. I'm a businessman, so I understand what it takes and what they're paying for. So now I'm obligated, but we can still make it fun now because we've learned so much about it. And I think we're going to have a great time with whoever we do wind up with. And I know people will come, and I have turned down people also, Joe, because their values weren't in line with my values. You know, they wanted different things, and I couldn't give them those things because ethically, I won't do it. It's not. I'm not for the money. I'm for building something special.
Right. That makes such great sense. And your family is involved. And let's take a second to talk a little bit about that, Mike. And this is just your first win. I have a feeling there's going to be many more. Alan seems pretty driven. And obviously you are driven. Certainly a great personality. But Gianna and Jasmine already out there. Jasmine, a great race going to the semifinal, taking out the number one qualifier. That was great to watch. Gianna, I get to see her down there in the top end after these Pro Stock motorcycle runs and watching her mentally debrief herself, like thinking about it and then kind of come out of the trance, so to speak, of the rider. And she's getting such great support from the other riders around there. It is pretty cool. Why don't you give us the rundown of, real quick, the rundown of who's going to run what as best as you can?
Okay, as of right now, we bought Arthur Gallant's A-Fuel team, and Arthur and Dan Page came. The part of the deal was they're going to run with us for the next few years and on. We just got Jasmine's rig ready to go, so she's going to start running all the national events and some regionals. And her goal is to get good enough to where she feels confident within herself to go run in the top fuel car. But the nice thing about she's 27 years old, and the nice part about what we're doing, Joe, is it's their decision. It's not my decision. It's theirs. When they think they're ready, they have to be 110% that they're ready to go try it, and then we evaluate from there. And we want to make sure we keep these young ladies safe, and we want them happy and positive, and we don't want them to get scared. So Jasmine is going to be an amazing driver. She really, and I get to see a side that nobody else gets to see, and she takes it so serious. We have to tell her to relax a little bit because she wants to do good, and she gets that from her mother. So, and then Gianna is in training. So both of them, this is their training year. Gianna, we're working with the Stofers and Greg Underdog, so that way they can get her trained up to where she feels confident, and she's getting better and better. She didn't qualify for the first two races she went to, but the bike is different than a car. It's all body language. It's all how you leave. It's a whole different animal, So Gianna wants to do a Pro Stock bike. She wants to stay in Pro Stock bike, and then eventually they're all going to run through the A-Fuel team. All my girls will run through the A-Fuel team. So that way they understand what it's like to go fast. And they're going to start branching out. We do have a pro mod thing that we're working on for number 4, which would be Janae. That's my daughter in Milan, Italy, doing fashion, and she's going to come back in. And then Jacqueline, our CFO of the company, she is not sure what she wants to drive, but she's going to run through the A-Fuel stuff and just looking around. And she's out right now just watching what you have to go through. But all of my girls, they're very independent, and they're like us. They're goal achievers. Gianna's a 21-year-old that thinks like a 35-year-old. Jasmine is a 27-year-old that thinks like a 45-year-old. They've been in business with us all their lives, and they're different type of kids. They don't have the insecurities and the They're very structured. They know what it takes to be successful in life. And they're great human beings. And the best thing is they are our best friends, and we do everything together, and it's really awesome.
That is awesome. Now, that's the best part. And back to the original story, that this sport keeps families together, and there's no truer statement than that. And it is great to watch you and your family come in, get your feet wet, invest, be successful, win a race, and I know it is just the first of many. Mike, I want to thank you for coming on the WFO Radio podcast, sharing the details of your first Top Fuel victory with us and our audience. I greatly appreciate it. And the good news is you get a chance to go in just a couple of days and try to get number 2 in Houston.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And you know what? The nice part about this is Alan already gave us the plan of what he wants to do over there. He knows about the track. He knows they did asphalt over there. He knows these guys are 3 races ahead of what everybody thinks. The guys that come in, they're so serious about this. I mean, they know what the weather's going to be like. I mean, it's pretty crazy.
Yeah, no, it is very serious. Well, like you said, you were told originally, these guys are professionals, and now you are too. It is awesome to watch. Mike, thank you so much. Thanks for coming on the show. Congratulations.
Thank you, Joe. Appreciate it.
Mike Salinas with us here on WFO Radio. What a great story. And honestly, I could speak with Mike for an hour straight because I have a million more questions. So Mike and family, if you happen to be out there listening, you need to win another race real soon to have you come back so I can ask more questions, because Mike is a very successful man. And he just brushes over that. Like, I went to work, got things done, which meant I worked my butt off to become successful so that now I could do this. And those of you who follow this show on a regular basis, you know that that's part of it. We are very fortunate to be able to have this great access to so many really successful people who have made it in business and made it in life through hard work, blood, sweat, tears, all of that. And very often, like early on in WFO Radio, Don Schumacher came on this show for like 45 minutes and just like laid out the plan of success. And I'm real proud of that. I'm proud of that so many of these really successful individuals, he's a goal achiever, is what he keeps saying. And it's really interesting. I want to dig deeper in that. He's a goal achiever. Like, set the goal, achieve the goal. Like, if you keep setting goals and achieving goals, eventually you're going to be really successful. And that is a good point. And right now, my goal is to make sure all of my WFO Radio listeners are aware that the sponsors of this show are high-quality businesses who do great things, like Hangstafers.com, Hangstafers Metalworking Lubricants, whose number one goal is to make you more efficient in the shop. They are products designed to make you more productive in the shop, wherever you're doing your metalworking, and they've got a cool thing. Dr. Hangstafer established the company in 1937, so you know they've been around a long time. They have the best available products that meet and exceed your expectation. Whatever your needs, they have available the best products to improve your metalworking processes. Highly refined petroleum, synthetic, and vegetable-based products, non-foaming coolants and cutting oils. They help your tools last longer. They help your shop work better. They help you go quicker. All of these elements make Hangstafers so important. Go to Hangstafers.com. They've got more than 100 affiliates throughout the world and a global network that's perfectly integrated with their research staff. Why? To help you. Products are engineered to increase productivity and reduce downtime without compromise to health, safety, and environmental requirements. Go to Hangstafers.com. or give them a call, 856-468-0216, or toll-free in North America, 433-LUBE. That's 800-433-LUBE for Hangstafers.com. And, of course, try to tell them you heard about it on WFO Radio. All right, we'll be back with Bo Butner after this.
Everybody, listen carefully.
Now you listen to me. Why do you listen? WFO, you guys are number one. Honest. Listen.
Hey, racers and race fans, I want to tell you about the motorsports guys. Terry McMillan from Elkhart, Indiana, has got a new venture, and we want you to hit the website. They've got all kinds of great new parts, pieces, filters, oils on there, including Amelie's new Pro Racing 70 oil with Molly. It's used by many professional drag racers, including Terry McMillan, for larger turning curves and avoiding those drop cylinder moments. It saves bearings and crankshafts and provides more compression with better ring seal and less fuel in your oil. You can get it at motorsportsguys.com. We'll carry Amalie, they carry Wolf's Head Oil and Lubricants, Molly Filters, K&N Filters, All-Star Performance Racing, and high-performance parts from Motor State Distributing and Lane Automotive. It's going to be a one-stop shop. They're going to have it all. But most importantly, oil, Amalie, better than it has to be since 1903, available at motorsportsguys.com. Check it out. Bookmark it, motorsportsguys.com. Terry McMillan stepping up as a supporter of WFO Radio. Check them out, motorsportsguys.com.
Hey, what's up, WFO Universe? It's Kathy Fisher. Join me along with Joe Castello every Sunday morning on Motor Trend for Performance TV. That's 8:30 a.m. Eastern. We'll see you then.
Frank Hawley's Drag Racing School. Whether you're a bracket racer who wants to get better or a thrill seeker looking to cross it off your bucket list, Frank Hawley's Drag Racing School can put you on the right track. Don't believe me? Tell him, Frank.
No matter how little or how much experience you have, we've got a program for you. So if driving a dragster is on your bucket list, there's no better time than now. And if you'd like to be a pro, well, here's funny car champ, Jack Beckman.
Hey, this is Jack Beckman. Long before I was Fast Jack, I was a bracket racer who went to the Frank Hawley School. The time I spent there was some of the most exciting, intense, and fulfilling moments ever in a race car. I feel the curriculum Frank developed greatly helped me win not only the Super Comp, but also the NHRA Nitro Funny Car Championship. Frank put me on the right track. What are you waiting for?
Call them at 866-480-7223. That's 866-480-7223. Or visit frankhawley.com.
Now, back to WFO Radio, NHRA Nitro.
NHRA Nitro, WFO Radio podcast. Download the mobile app free. Like to bear it down to like its basics, right? Like mobile app free. Listen, enjoy. Yeah, definitely good stuff. The WFO Radio mobile app, and we are absolutely thrilled to be able to offer that to you folks. But remember, the podcast catcher on every digital device is really good. Podcast Addict, there's so many different ones, and you can get on board with all of that. But the WFO Radio app is a really good way to do it. We got Bo Butner a couple of seconds away. I want to tell you, though, about audible.com/WFO Nitro. And the folks at Audible, huge business, right? The audiobooks, all different subjects. It's for people like us who listen for entertainment. You're sitting on a plane. You're tired of hearing the same 22 songs. You want to follow up on a subject or a topic and learn more about it. That's where audible.com/WFO Nitro really comes in well. So start your 30-day trial, audible.com/WFO Nitro. All right. Joining us now from somewhere on the Las Vegas Strip, Pro Stock winner won 3 out of 4, had a triple hole shot in the final round, Bo Butner. Bo, where are you?
We're just taking a cruise. I think we're going to go have a relaxation day, Randy Lynn and myself.
Wow, a nice little relaxation day in Vegas. No better place to do that. So many choices of whatever you want to get done. That is amazing. You earned it this past weekend. How about that triple hole shot in the final?
Yeah, it looks great for a driver's side, but actually we had a good car. Qualified number one. Ran. I think we got finished first each quad I was in. So it was a very good car. I just bumped in there a little bit there at the end. Don't say it's on purpose, but sometimes it just happens in the final.
Yeah, exactly. When there's no lane choice on the line and you want to just get a little closer to that finish line stripe. Hartford, Jason, Greg, all ran quicker, but you won the race. And what you're saying is if you bumped in a little extra, that might have hurt your ET.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it hurt some ET. I figured we probably went 66 or even maybe high 65 there.
Oh, there you go. And in qualifying, so strong. Kind of a different weekend than what you experienced in Gainesville, where you flat out told us, it was cosmic, right? Like things were just on your side. You were catching breaks. This was different. You went out there and you earned it with strong performances.
Yes, things definitely went our way in Gainesville. But again, same way here. I mean, our first quad, we had Fernando and Derek just take off, and that kind of messes you up. But gives a guy like Jeff a chance to win around, which he was very pumped up, and it was cool to see him get around win.
Absolutely. Got a round win, then goes on to the second quad, where both you and Matt were able to advance. On the other side of the ladder, it was the whole KB Racing versus Elite with Erica, Jason, Greg, and Alex. And Jason and Greg go to the final round. So what's it like preparing for a final round where 3 KB cars are involved? So more work than typical.
Only thing could have been better would be 4 KB cars, which it could have lined up that way also with there for Fernando. But it's a feeling that, we have 3 very good cars. We've been successful, and you hate to see another group, which I like the Freeman group and the Elite group, but you hate to see them take it on all 3 of us. So that goes through your head, but we were happy because one of the KB cars were going to get a winner runner-up.
Exactly. Now, you get along well with everybody. You're not part of any kind of feud or anything. I see you out there hanging and working with all different groups, and that's probably because you've run so many different classes and categories.
Yeah, we've been fortunate enough to meet just about everybody, I think, and it's a big family. Joe, we're on the road more than we're home, so you'd like to get along with the people you're around with.
Isn't that the truth? So next race, though, it's kind of interesting. You start off 3 out of 4, a really strong start to a season. We've asked you the question about, hey, you were retired, but that's in the rearview mirror now. You're very busy, but this is going to be unusual. An off race, Bo, the first time ever in many, many years that Pro Stock not competing down there in Houston. And, what are you going to do? What's the story? You claim that you're not going to race. I find that hard to believe, though, a little bit.
Well, the Emmons group, good friends of ours, have offered me a job in a ride in a super stock ride, and I actually turned it down. For one, I don't want to work so hard for another car, but I'm just going to go there and enjoy and watch some pro mod, hang out with our Nitro Fish racers, and just enjoy some time. And it sucks. I mean, I think the fans are going to be a little upset by not having pro stock because I've been getting a lot of messages that way. But it's going to be different, definitely. But shoot, we're off for a while. So my next goal is to get our shootout car back going and get it ready for Charlotte 4-wide.
Yes, and that is a big subject. Let's get into that. What's different? I understand that you guys have really worked a lot on that car and that program. We're talking about the Samtech Factory Stock Showdown car since the last time out, that there's a lot of work that has gone and will continue to go into it.
Yes, sir. Actually, Daryl's been texting me all this morning. Has a brand new car, just like when we come back with the Pro Stock car, it's going to be a new 219 Camaro. But we made the new Mustang a 19. So changed the body up on it. Got some different component motor stuff because NHRA changed the rules out here on us. So we're going to have to go test a lot. Try to be competitive, and we won't quit until we are.
There you go. Yeah, now that category is very exciting, and I'm excited to go back out to Charlotte. But at the start of the season, though, what stands out in my mind is you kind of struggled last year a little bit, and now you're strong at the start of this year. And can you put your finger on why? Like, what's up? Like, why have you been able to go out there and at the start of 19 be so dominant, so strong, and throughout 18 you were just, okay for the most part?
Yeah, we were average, I would say. I mean, or maybe slightly above. I'm with the KD team. So, started out last year. I think I won Pomona. Ran pretty good at Gainesville. Got the runner up there. But then we kind of lost it. Came back, won Vegas at the end of the year, and we kind of got it back then. But we have a couple new crew guys. KB's added some guys in the shop and on the track. And just everything's going better. I mean, I was kind of scared having 4 or 5 cars out there, but we kind of seem to flow good with everyone else, and it's maybe leave our car alone a little bit, just make better runs.
There you go. Well, once you get the manpower to handle all that, there's a lot of cars, a lot going on. It's a very busy pit area, so they seem to have got it all figured out. Bo, thank you for coming on. I know you're out there. You got the Vegas mentality still going. It was a great race. Everybody seemed to have a whole lot of fun. Now, you and Randy Lynn, the 50th Amalie Motor Oil Gator Nationals winning couple, going to go have a little downtime. Enjoy it.
Thank you so much, Joe. We'll see you at Houston.
We'll be there, baby. Thanks, Bo.
All right, buddy.
Thanks, Bo. Bo Butner with us here on WFO Radio. Bo and Randy Lynn going to go get like side-by-side massages, hot stone. I don't know what they're doing. I really don't know. But they're still on the Strip. And yes, Vegas, just so great. I'll talk about that later on in the show. I considered going and getting a little spa time, and then I decided against it in favor of gambling. But that's me. You know, I got my own weird side things, like and big meals, giant meals at the Pepper Mill. Oh, thanks to the Pepper Mill. I'll save it for later, my time, later on. But right now, I got to tell you about samtech.edu. Yeah, a short segment right here. Samtech.edu, the School of Automotive Machinists and Technology. Start your education at full speed. Look, I've read the script thousands of times, but I want you kids to know, look, if you are a younger person into your 20s, even up to your early 30s, number one, it's not too late to change directions and do something you really like. And not everybody tells you that. But the reality is, in a perfect world, you'll live to be 70 plus years old. Like, that's hopefully what we're all given. Now, some people don't get that. So if you made a career change, or maybe you didn't go to school, or maybe you didn't get good grades in high school, or maybe you feel like, man, I missed my opportunity. I wasn't ready to learn yet, which is really my story. Like, I didn't know what I wanted to do. And so I didn't focus on any one thing. And then I found broadcasting in this career, and boy, what a big mistake it was, but that's a different story for a different day. Back to you. You're in your mid-20s or early 30s. You love cars. You love engines. You love working on them. But you didn't think that that's the right job for you. But maybe it is. Because it's a real job. It's a hands-on job. And it's needed and necessary. Whether it be an engine builder or a machinist. That career right there, a machinist, is desperately needed in our civilization and will be for a long, long time. CNC programmer. They do it all at Samtech. So go to samtech.edu. Go to the website. Be sure you tell them you heard about it on WFO Radio and just inquire. They've got motorsport EFI tuning. They've got an Associate of Applied Science degree. They're approved to train veterans and other eligible persons under the GI Bill. We keep saying start your education at full speed. But the fact of the matter is that this is a life change. If you like the idea of working around cars and doing and building and making with your own two hands, very gratifying work, Samtech can help you get started. And they're located in Houston, Texas, and all the guys from Sam are going to be out at the track this weekend. If you're going to the race, be ready to swing by the booth. And don't forget to download that Factory Stock podcast. Brian Massengill going to be back on for the next one as we get ready for Charlotte, not far off. Samtech.edu. We'll be back after this.
This is WFO Radio.
Hey everybody, Joe here, and I hereby decree on behalf of the WFO universe, the winter is over, which means it's time to grill. Get yourself some Rodax Coffee and Grills.com, barbecue, spice rub, hot sauce, and of course, incredible coffee. They've got the WFO Radio Blend, they've got the Bang the Blower, they've got the exotics. It's all roasted fresh per your order, representing the top 5% of coffee throughout the world. Go to RodaxCoffeeandGrills.com or give Marvin a call. 817-924-6821 for RodaxCoffeeandGrills.com.
Hey, this is Scott Palmer, driver of the NHRA Cat Spot Litter Top Fuel Dragster. Do you have a cat? Go to CatSpotLitter.com, order it today. All natural product, made out of coconuts, 100% biodegradable. All you NHRA cat owners, support our team. Go to CatSpotLitter.com.
If you're looking for extra horsepower, check out WilsonManifolds.com, the leader in intake manifold and nitrous oxide development. They've set records and won championships in just about every series in professional racing. Sprint Cup, Nationwide, Camping World Truck Series, NHRA Pro Stock, right up to the Nitro classes. If you're looking for extra horsepower, check out the leader in intake and nitrous development at WilsonManifolds.com.
This is Sean from Traverse City, Michigan. You ever get done with an episode of Ignition or Nitro and say, man, that's a good job. I'd like to give them a pat on the back and a cold beer. Well, with Patreon, you can. So send that drink down to Gio and Joe.
Now, back to WFO Radio, NHRA Nitro.
Final segment, WFO Radio, NHRA Nitro. And before we get to my time, we got him like right before the deadline. He is in the Great Northeast. He's commuting from somewhere to somewhere. Your Pro Stock motorcycle winner out there at the Denso 4Wides, Hector Arana Jr. Hector, where are you? What's going on?
So, I'm just leaving my job, my full-time job. So I guess, what, does that make me a hobbyist?
I wonder, I think you're a hobby racer, right? You have a job, and racing's your hobby. What did you think of that? Obviously, it's on your mind.
You know, all I could do is laugh. I guess it brings a little entertainment to the class. And I had to say that that's a false statement. Just because I have a full-time job doesn't mean that I'm full-time committed to drag racing and that I'm a professional. At the end of the day, we're all professionals. Whether, you know, what we do outside the track is something totally different from one another.
Yeah,
so,
I get that. I spoke with... Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, I spoke with Matt about it a little bit. I did not speak with Steve about it. And I watched both of their Facebook Lives, like the whole thing, or I listened to them, really. And I get what everybody is saying, and I just think some words maybe were chosen a little poorly.
Right.
You know.
Yeah, I didn't watch it all. I just think there's, like I said, it brings some entertainment to the class, and I'm just taking it and rolling with it. I'm a hobbyist, and I kicked everybody's ass.
That's it. That's great. It is true, and you did. And I wonder, the 15 pounds, is that a good thing for Hector Arana Jr.? That way you don't have to starve yourself.
There you go. You know, it's very hard living in Long Island, New York, with lots of pasta and lots of good pizza and bagels. And, you know, I was missing out on all that good stuff. And so now it's, you know, we went out to a car museum that the Pro Stock motorcycle class was invited to in Las Vegas, the nostalgia car collection. And when we went out there, we were having some tacos. And my dad was like, hey, take it easy, you know. But just because we added weight to the bike doesn't mean you can just go start eating.
That is awesome.
I was like, I could take off 5 pounds.
Yeah, well, exactly. And you're a big guy. I mean, you're not a giant person, but you're big for Pro Stock motorcycle, and that's always the thing. What do you weigh in at?
Right. I weigh in at 150 to 155.
Interesting. And I've heard, like, Jerry Savoy, when he won the U.S. Nationals, told me he had his first hamburger in, like, 2 years. It was like a reward deal. And that's a little unhealthy. Like, we don't want you guys having to starve yourselves.
Who is it that had that in 2 years?
Jerry Savoy, when he won the U.S. Nationals, so I guess it was like 2 or 3 years ago, I met them at the boathouse when they were having their celebration dinner, and he had like a cheeseburger or something on his plate. And he told me at that time that it was like going to be the first cheeseburger he had in 2 years, or some sort of really large time span since having a cheeseburger, and that, you know, he had to like really commit to this not eating thing.
Right. You know, I tell you what, it's definitely, you know, we are professionals and we're jockeys. And we watch our weight, we work out, and that's all part of it. That's part of the whole thing, because you need to be able to have, first of all, if you're racing, and now we're able to be at a minimum weight, and I'm weighing heavy, I'm at a disadvantage to myself. So we make sure that we're right there at weight. Can you hear me, Joe?
I hear you. I got you loud and clear. I mean, I hear the sound of the commute going on in the background. I'm imagining you're on a subway. If you're not, don't tell me.
No, I'm not.
It sounds like you're going over a bridge. It sounds like the opening scene to Sopranos.
Yeah. So my bike was a little bit heavier bike. It's the same chassis I've always raced, and I was always at weight, but I didn't have a lot of extra weight ballast on the bike to play with. So now, listen, I'm taking what they give us. They gave us 15 pounds is what we have to weigh. They want parity in the class, and I understand them wanting parity in the class. Same time, the Suzuki's, year at the beginning of the year last year and the year before that, they were really fast. And I don't know what happened, why they slowed down. I mean, I know things can change, and sometimes you can get lost and slow down because it's happened to us. So I don't know why they're slower, but at the end of the day, they added 15 pounds, so we bolted on 15 pounds. And, we're just, it was a couple little adjustments to the clutch to get it dialed in, but, we're making it work.
Yeah, clearly. Let's talk about your four-wide race. Very competitive out there. You qualified second, and then the first quad, you went an 89 with a 1. Kind of crazy reaction times, though, and you needed to get through. You and your dad got through, but you needed every bit of it. What happened on the starting line? Was it just the four-wide situation?
You know what? That was definitely a four-wide situation, and I got lucky on that round. We went in, and you always look at your quad, and different riders have their different techniques of how they stage and whatnot. When I looked at my quad, I was like, oh boy, this should be interesting. So we went in, and the lights, like I said, I went in as soon as everybody staged. Pre-staged, I went and staged, and I'm waiting, and I'm seeing lights flickering off and on, and next thing I know, the lights came down. So, with that being said, I was late, and the only one that was on the ball that round was my father. And he was a 40, and then the rest of us, I think the next one was an 80, and then I was third with a 138, I believe, and the next was like a 180. So
yep.
I think everybody was off.
And that happens. That happens.
We got
sometimes.
lucky. Everyone will tell you, you always get your lucky round win, and that was mine.
Second round, you and your dad advanced to go up against Jerry and Eddie. And, Jerry was late on that one. Your dad was 002, but just the bike fell off a little bit, and you and Eddie advanced.
Yes. Yeah, 002. My dad was on the ball. He was ready to race on Sunday. And, unfortunately, we had a little issue where the bike bogged off the line, and I believe that we figured out why and what happened, because I actually bogged as well myself, but just not as bad. And if things were different, I might have been the one going out second round.
Interesting. Then the final round, Andrew Hines had an ignition problem, so he got backed off, and it was going to be Matt Smith, who was center of attention, of course, the champ. You and Eddie. Eddie goes red, and so you and Matt are going down the racetrack. Were you able to see him at all? Like, what was that like being, I kind of forget where you were in the chaos. What lane were you guys in, and were you aware of where he was and whether or not you were winning, losing, or otherwise? You had an 014 light and won it on a tiny hole shot.
So I was in lane 1, and I believe Andrew was lane 4. But I was already pre-staged. I was the first one to pre-stage. I was, ready, focused, ready to go. And then all of a sudden I see the NHRA starter. He comes out in front of me and shows me 3 fingers, and then so does my crew guy. So they're telling me 3 guys. So I never looked over, and I had some people question me saying, oh, you were looking over at Matt. I wasn't looking over at Matt. I was looking over to see which 3 lights were going to come on. So I was checking the quad to see which lane was open, and that was about it. I was kind of just a quick glance to say, okay, which lanes are open, which lights do I have to focus on for staging?
Interesting.
Because it's 4-wide.
Right.
So I want to know which bolt's coming on, when to jump in, and whatnot, because I had a game plan in my head. So as soon as I figured that out, they all went in, and then I went in and staged, and like I said, I was ready I had a game plan, and as soon as the light dropped, bam, popped the clutch and had a 014 light, and I never saw anyone after that. Matt was right next to me in lane 2, but, I had a 14 to his 40, so it was a pretty good advantage, and I never saw him. I had a better 60-foot to him, and so he ran a little bit better down the back, but we were still pretty close with ETs, at 690 with the 7 to 693, so I never saw Matt Smith. And the only thing that I was a little confused about is our marker on the side was flashing, and I just wasn't sure if flashing was a winner or if solid was a winner. So I knew I was 1 or 2, and I was hoping that flashing was winning, and like I said, it left good. It was a straight run, and I knew I'd cut a good light. So I had a good feeling, but you never know. So that's why when you see me roll around the corner, I'm pointing at myself to see if it's me. I'm kind of looking at the camera to see if it's panning at me or somebody else. So
that's awesome.
Like I said,
that is awesome.
I got the win, and I'm super excited.
So let me ask you, okay, and I think it's great that you won because it announces that you guys are here and ready to win some races this year. Last year Matt came on strong second half of the year. You guys showed some muscle, but in the countdown it was tough. The Harleys are going to be tough. Angela is going to get going eventually and be tough. We don't know what's up with Jerry. I know they're working, and Tim Kalungian is a very smart guy. Karen can ride great, so she'll eventually be good. And I was, wondering where your program was at. And now it looks like you guys are going to be in the mix this year. So you tell me, based on the performance you guys had, you surprised me a little bit that you're running the same chassis that you started with in 2011, but that's great if you can do it. But, what do you feel about the program here based on the start of 2019?
The chassis is a really great chassis. It's like, if it's not broke, don't fix it, right? So we built several chassis, and we haven't had a chassis to work as good as mine yet. We just built a new chassis with Morgan Lucas and the Lucas fabrication team. So that was the chassis that my dad debuted this weekend, and it shows a lot of promise. And if all goes well, we'll build a second one, and that'll be my bike. But right now, that bike works well. We never had any issues. So it has all the updated bodywork, obviously, the EBR. So, all that is great. And then as far as our program goes, our program's looking really good. We have a lot of things going for us, and, we're still, right now, we're running last year's combination. No, nothing new right now, but we have a lot of things in the works, and we're going to systematically bring him into the program, and there's a lot that I'm looking forward to this year, and it's going to be a great year. I feel really good on the bike. Feel great on Sunday as far as nerves go, and the head game, because drag racing is you got to be strong in the head. There's a mental game to it, and you have to be prepared. And I definitely feel prepared this year, and I've figured some things out personally of, what I have to do to get in the groove, and as far as a rhythm for myself and getting lights and whatnot. And I've been able to, dial that in. I have a practice tree down in my basement that I go, down, and I practice frequently to stay on top of that. And it's definitely made a difference for me.
That is great. That is great. Now, what about Vincent, man? What's you're still racing. He's not. What's that like?
Yeah, you know what? It's a bummer that he's not out there racing with me. I miss traveling with him. I miss having him at the track and having the opportunity to share the stage with him. So it's definitely a bummer. I don't know. I don't think that there's anything in plan right now. So right now he's focusing on his business and building a new house. So he's like I said, he's focusing on that, and maybe if something comes up, we'll see him back out there again. I know he loves pro stock, and he said I will be back out there again. We don't know when.
Got it. Now, real quick before we let you go, what about being a dad, Hector? Like, how is that different? It's not all about you now. You're never that kind of guy anyway, but life is different being a dad. Tell me your early thoughts on it.
You know what? it's great being a father. I love Sophia, and it's great to, to have something I always look forward to going home, but it's different. It's different that you have a little baby girl to go home to, and they're so precious at this age, and it's great. And not only that, it's extra drive, just extra drive to do better, to push yourself, because now it's not just for me, it's for her too. So it just really gives you that extra edge.
That is awesome. Hector, thank you very much. Congratulations on your big win. The next time we see you guys, the next 4-wide race right out in Charlotte. So you get to go from 4-wide to 4-wide. So is that right or is that wrong? No, that's right.
No, that's right. And like I said, I got into, I feel like I got into a really good rhythm with the 4-wide. I was really good on my lights all through qualifying, and just like a little hiccup there with with the lights on E1, but was able to get past that and just get right back into the routine for the rest of the race day. But I got to also thank Lucas Oil and everybody that's involved with Lucas Oil, the family, and all of the employees that work for them. It's a really, really good company and a great family, and we've been partners with Lucas Oil for 25 years now, and that's just a testament to who they are and what great people they are, and what great product it is. So my dad first started with Lucas Oil, it was on a handshake, and he said, as we grow, so will you, and he's held his word, and the Lucas Oil has grown, and so have we, and we have a nice, really good, successful race team now, and here we are today, still representing them. So it's an honor to be able to do that for them.
That is tremendous. Kid from Miami makes it big. I love it. Hector, congratulations. We'll see you in Charlotte in a few weeks. Tour stopping down to Houston this weekend, but a great victory. And yeah, the hobbyist kicked their ass. I love that. That's the quote of the interview. Great job.
Thank you, Joe. And always look forward to having an interview on WFO Radio.
Well, all right. Hector Arana Jr. with us here on WFO Radio. Hector Jr. I like what he said about, kicked all their ass. If you didn't watch, all right, first of all, you don't have to watch it all. The Facebook Live, Steve Johnson and Matt Smith. And it's kind of over. I feel like it's over. It was a good story for the bikes, though. The bikes always got a good story of getting it going. And I know Matt and Angie, they're really nice people. And I get along with Steve Johnson really well. And I find everybody to be pretty positive and entertaining. But every once in a while, people choose words incorrectly. And I think everybody involved chose a couple of words incorrectly. I'll give you one. And if you haven't followed this story, here's the quick summary. Ready? Rapid fire. Go. They put 15 pounds on the V-twins, and Matt Smith was not happy about it, was vocal about it, did an interview on Competition Plus. Bobby Bennett, who, by the way, has got the new Legends of the Series Blaine Johnson out and available. Everyone should check it out. We'll probably have Bobby on in the future to talk about it. But Matt gave an interview that said he felt like it was a knee-jerk reaction, and that, the Suzukis should be faster than they are, and what's up with that? Why punish the V-twins who worked so hard during the offseason? And that was the gist of it. Steve Johnson goes on Facebook Live, and in a long 26-minute Facebook Live, talked about a bunch of different things. That was one of the subjects. And in the subject, he suggested that Matt called these racers hobbyists, hobby racers, in the article, hobbyists. And that was the first probably poor choice of words, hobbyists, because he explained after the fact. And when this stuff happens, I always think about the politics and politicians, right? It happens to real people too. You choose a word wrongly, and then people are, they want an answer. So Matt basically said that he makes his living by being a pro stock motorcycle team. That's it. That's the number one source of income. Drag racer, professional. This is all I do. Unlike, and he mentioned a couple other people, and one of those people was Karen Stouffer, who I spoke with on the Mellow Yellow Walking Tour about it, she's a professional, right? He worked at General Electric and is a professional, as Hector Jr. He's coming home from work, right? And so then the debate all of a sudden changed. And it's unfortunate for Matt because the debate got changed. The debate is no longer about whether the 15 pounds was a good idea or a knee-jerk reaction. All of a sudden, the concept now is whether or not hobby racers, blah, blah, blah. And so Steve Johnson does his thing and says what he wanted to say was that by calling these people hobby racers, he diminished the category. Diminished is my inserting of the word. But instead, Steve said the word stealing. He's stealing. So he accused Matt of stealing. So Matt says hobbyist when he was really trying to make a more nuanced point that his only living is drag racing, and thus he spends more time on it. And so, of course, he's going to end up being better at it than some. That's the point. Whereas when you got a full-time job doing something else and then you outsource, which is Karen's word that she told me, the engine building and all, maybe you're not as up on top of things as you would if you did it full-time. And that's Matt's point. So Steve is taking umbrage with that point and says that he's stealing from the class because he's stealing attention from people by calling them hobbyists, which, if you use the word diminish, you're diminishing the category by calling them hobbyists and maybe tricking people into thinking that these people aren't 100% into it. He might have had a point. But instead, he said the word stealing, which got Matt upset. And so then Matt does the Facebook Live that follows up with that. That says, this is all in our WFO group, by the way, if you want to go see it. I don't think you should. I think you should listen to another WFO episode before you do that. Because it's in the past, not because it's not interesting. I shared it because it's very interesting. But now it's in the past. It's been settled. But A+ for willingness to put your heart and opinion out there. More should do it. But as soon as you do that, then you're susceptible to all other critiques and criticism. And selection of words is important. And I think that area is where this thing went a little sideways. Because I get everybody's point. Steve is one of the guys that starves himself. Steve Johnson. I've had many conversations with Steve about this. That he has to really monitor his diet in a way that is, I wonder if I asked him, if I said, Steve, do you think your diet is unhealthy for you? What would he say? I've spoken with enough pro stock motorcycle racers. We just spoke with Hector that it's a real challenge for these guys to make weight. You think of a guy like Andrew Hines. What did he say last year? He had slacked up on his diet and his exercise, and they have to be as light as is possible, period. And that makes it really challenging. And so I think that's the deal. I think everybody is just hangry. They're all hangry, man. That's why there's so many dust-ups in pro stock motorcycle. It's a class full of hangry people. They're populated by hanger, right? They need a sandwich. Is what it is. NHRA should put 10 pounds more on everybody's bike. Genius idea until they can't stop. And that's the other side of it. It's a very delicate situation. But we'll follow along, and we'll see what goes on. And if nothing else, it'll give us a positive deal. Matt, you heard Ricky don't care? Well, you know what? Matt don't care either. And Matt will just keep on doing what he's doing. And I think it was a fun race. It was interesting. And Matt, to his credit, by the way, came back during our Mellow Yellow walking tour and just laid it all out there. And Karen was across the way, and they kind of communicated back and forth. It was a really fun moment for me. Fun moment. Speaking of which, My Time, brought to you by patreon.com/WFO Radio, where you can get additional content for supporting the show monetarily, directly, basically as individual sponsors of the show for $5 or $10 or $20 a month, depending on whatever you want to do. That's what people are doing. We've got people on there that are Patreons. They are doing it to support NHRA, Nitro, and Ignition, but as a benefit, they get a little extra. Like I'll go on there and give them behind-the-scenes stuff or ask questions, use those folks for market research, which direction WFO is going to go in the future, that kind of stuff. So My Time brought to you by patreon.com/WFO Radio. And here's what I will say. Like, for years, I went to Vegas on my own. I think my first Vegas trip was in 1990-something. 7, 8. That sounds about right. And 1996, 97, I don't know. Stayed at the Monte Carlo the first time, which doesn't exist, and fell in love with the city. Love Vegas. Am I a gambler? I'm not really a gambler. I like table games. I'll love to sit at a slot and win back when that used to happen, which it doesn't anymore. Since they changed to the all-digital slots and, bet 10 lines, and you sit at a 1-cent slot, and each pull is like $5. I have no luck at slots. Back in the day, I used to sit at a 25-cent Wheel of Fortune machine, max bet. I was like, having a good time. Put $20 in, play for an hour, win, lose, whatever, it was worth it. Now you put $20 in, you get 3 spins. You don't know whether or not you won or you lost. It's pathetic. And so I end up sitting down at a slot and learn that lesson over and over again. Each time I go back to Vegas, but I digress. So my Vegas evolution just continued on, like wanting to do more, and went once a year and went twice a year and stayed here and stayed there. And where was the new hot spot? Always going to the new hot spot. Staying at the Palms, staying at the Hard Rock. Tried out Luxor, tried out MGM. Tried out when I back in the day, many people may or may not know, at one point in my life I was married. I got married at the Bellagio. My friends all came out and we went to the Bellagio, and the Bellagio is at its pinnacle, its peak, and just had wonderful times in Vegas. But then, I don't know, you get a little older and you start thinking about money, and, the financial crisis happened and so many things happened. It just kind of took the fun off the concept of Vegas for me. Not, I guess Vegas, I don't know. I'm working, man. I'm trying to make a life for myself, trying to figure out what I'm going to do with this WFO and just whatever. And the times I'd been back to Vegas for SEMA or for whatever working deal, would sit down and at a slot, lose, never in the right mind frame, like the right frame of mind to sit at a table. If you're negative, you're going to lose, man. You're not going to win. You're going to lose if you're not in the right mental state. It's so true with everything. And so the past couple of times I've been going, I'm enjoying the food, Peppermill, the Peppermill Lounge, my favorite place. It's just the best. I could go there and eat there every day. They got the Fireside Lounge, of course, the best Bloody Marys on the planet, and amazing breakfast. And plus, they're very active with social media, by the way. I mentioned them, and they were like, thank you for coming in, Joe. I was like, what? No business does that. They do. But had a really interesting time. Had a good time. Went on a long, 4-hour journey on Thursday, walking around. Got to see the Game of Thrones water show at Bellagio. Just checking out the scene. Of course, going to the track. The track is fantastic. Jeff Foster and the team out there. It is, to me, the ultimate destination race. Either of the two Vegas races. Ultimate destination race. I'm not saying the spring race is better because it's 4-wide. It's just totally unique. And I kind of like the fact that there's a little more space. The SEMA aspect of the fall race makes things a little cray. A lot going on out there. This is a little calmer, a little more space. But just had a great time. Sat down at the tables. Jason Logan, Team Mellow Yellow. Why didn't I call him on the show? That would have been a perfect thing. Recount the story again and again. He tells the story. We sat down, blackjack table, and we just went on a run for about an hour and 40 minutes of just winning. Relatively well, battling, but ended up. Good times. A lot of fun. At the Link. Cool place. Then Sunday after the race, went on the High Roller. Very interesting. Very interesting scene the whole time. Great time. Love Vegas. And so now I feel like, I don't know, I'm kind of back. I'm kind of back on the Vegas thing. It was a really good time. So why am I telling you this? I think you should make your plans for the fall race. What I think. It's going to be pretty cool. I'm already looking at interesting places I want to check out. But good times, and thanks to everybody who was part of it. Right? Going on the high... That was going on the High Roller. That was a huge group. It was a lot of fun. Taskus guys... Eric Lane, we had a good time. Everybody was there. The whole world was there. Well, folks, that's going to do it. I appreciate you checking out this episode of WFO Radio. We got Hector Jr. in. It was a little touch and go for a while, but we got him in. And had a great time. Mike Salinas, JR, Todd, Bo Butner, all who were part of the program. Ignition, very good. We did an Ignition show the second I landed and got back to the studio. Kind of fun. Detailed a little more of my stories from the weekend. But just like that, we're headed out to Houston, and the series is really going now. The schedule is ramped up. Time to go. And we are going to have a lot of racing going on. So if NHRA is coming near you and you're a WFO fan, you should definitely go out to the racetrack. All right, everybody, that's going to do it. We'll see you next time right here on WFO Radio.
WFO! The views and opinions of the hosts, guests, or callers do not necessarily reflect that of the station ownership, advertisers, or agencies.
I love WFO Radio.
Oh, yeah.